So welcome, everybody. Appreciate you guys tuning in. All Access Coaches Corner with Rising Coaches. You can join for a membership with Rising Coaches at www.risingcoaches.com. Lots of great perks and benefits with video content, member access to things. There's over 1,000 members. They've over 10 years of videos, notes from the events, different Zooms with guests, all access to workshops, NBA coaches, and more. So definitely a great way to network and connect with other coaches. So we want to give big shout outs to Rising Coaches for just letting us have this opportunity to talk some hoops. We got the Super 6 at 6, Division I assistant style. Really excited about this group of young men. I'll start with Brandon Chambers. Credit to him and Coach Jones over at Texas Southern are at Jazzy Hartwell's funeral memorial services right now. So he will not be able to make it, unfortunately, but he's doing it for a great reason. Jazzy, for those of you that know, I'm actually from Texas. I'm from Dallas. I know Tone probably knows him as well. Josten, guys that recruit Texas. Rod C. grew up on the grassroots circuit. So we definitely want to pay our respects to Jazzy Hartwell, who was a legend in the city of Dallas, Urban DFW elite, for those of you that don't know. So we want to give shout-outs to him, but definitely a big member of the Texas basketball community and the AAU grassroots Adidas community that will be in heaven watching over us, coaching up there. As far as Brandon Chambers, an assistant at Texas Southern, I hate that he couldn't make it. I think he was just acknowledged with Under Armour for 30 under 30, one of the top 30 coaches in the country, under 30 years old. Just a tremendous person. I've gotten to know him more and more. I competed against him when I was at Fresno State. He was at Nevada, and later worked with Brandon Dunson, who was also at Nevada. But shout out to Brandon Chambers. Hate that he couldn't make it. Starting a business just because he's just a really talented person, not only in coaching and things behind the scenes, but also in just connecting people. He's done a tremendous job over this time with quarantine of just connecting some high-level people and connecting people to other people with different Zooms and different basketball ideas and conversations, and always in a positive spirit, always kind of a gym rat, and just a guy who's always kind of finding ways to grow and get better. So shout out to B. Chambers, also a dude that can really recruit. I'm sure he will be continuing to climb through the ranks in this business, as all 6 guys on this panel will be. But we'll shift gears to Brandon Dunson. We'll go Brandon to Brandon. Brandon's at Cal State Fullerton. At one point in time, I believe, played at Arizona State. Is that right, B?
Yep.
Played at Arizona State, was on the staff at Stanford, was on the staff at Nevada, and is now at Fullerton. Again, another just really sharp dude, knows the game, big-time relationship dude, super high character guy. He's been at the lower levels too, paid his way, paid his dues at the NAI level. I just actually found that out, chopping it up with him. Played some small college ball too. For those of you that don't follow him, definitely follow him. He can show you some of his old school highlights of him jumping between, throwing the ball between his legs, showing off his hops from back in the day. So really excited to hear from him today. We'll go jump from West Coast to East Coast. Got my man Serge from Marist College, was just acknowledged with the Top Connect Villa 7 just last week. So just a real treat to have him on. I've slowly gotten to know him again over this quarantine time. Just a super high quality human being that is already doing great things. He's going to continue to do great things. I'll let him tell more about his story, but just everything that's right about this business, he represents, as well as these other young men on this Zoom today. But he is, just, again, a person that is not afraid to speak his mind for what's right, not afraid to be real. And, again, already been acknowledged, and one of the greatest acknowledgments you can have as far as his impact in college basketball. So shout out to the East Coast. We'll go Rod C last because he got a little surprise for us. So we'll go him last. But Josten Crow will go down south. a couple former Southland players in Josten Crow and Antonio Bostic. Josten played at Sam Houston State, was a really good player, did some great things. He's going to tell us about his journey in coaching, but has done a terrific job at Louisiana Lafayette. They've had a great program there in the Sun Belt Conference under Bob Marlin. Again, another just first-class dude, humble, down to earth, flies below the radar, but gets a lot of stuff done. And just somebody who is already getting recognized by a lot of higher-level coaches as somebody who's on the rise. I don't mean that in any harm to Coach Marlin. It's because he's doing a good job. But I'm sure at some point in time, sooner than later, people will be looking to take him away from Louisiana Lafayette. So excited to have him on. Again, super, super high-quality person who was a really good player too. Antonio Bostic, former SFA Lumberjack, now turned ACU Wildcat. Just went to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago after a big-time year at ACU. They've done some phenomenal things. We're in the same basketball family. I worked under Joe Golding there and Brett Tanner, who've done just an unbelievable job starting the program from scratch, going from D2 to D1. I was a part of that transition, and Antonio has done a terrific job recruiting. Another guy kind of like Josten, who flies below the radar, but deserves to get more credit for how great of an impact he's had in this game of college basketball. Is about the right things. And then last, definitely not least, the young buck in the crew, second-year Division I, was at UIC, has been with every other grassroots Nike program in Dallas. He's also been with Mocan out there in Kansas, Midwest guy who has big-time Texas roots as well, has worked with some great players. I got to know him and recruiting a really, really good player when I was at Fresno State. I was a part of helping navigate some of the waters to land a really good player who now is a star at Oklahoma State, who just gave some recent news that he'll be back. So we're excited for that, for Coach B and Coach Pastrana over at Oklahoma State. But Rod C is, again, just a dude who's come from the levels of doing it for the right reasons with players, with young men, loves skill development, loves talking hoops, and just loves keeping it real. So he's got a tremendous future ahead of him too. And like I said, he's got some news for us. So welcome, fellas. First question is, how many of you guys know each other already? How many of you guys are just getting to know each other? Just feel free to kind of tell a little bit about that as we get started.
Well, I've been on Tone since I was a young dude, just because he's from the same area as me, and we actually went to the same junior college. Obviously at different times, but Tone, what year you graduated?
I was done there 2010.
No, I mean like high school.
Oh, 08.
08, yeah. So he's 08. I'm 11. So obviously we were in high school, close to the same times, but I missed him a little bit. But obviously I watched him a little bit growing up, and got to watch him at junior college and at the college level. We're from the same city, so been knowing him for a while.
Yeah, I'm just actually familiarizing myself with you guys. Obviously from afar, you see what people are doing and familiar with a couple of the programs. And I've not known you in particular, but I've known you guys from afar, and I'm fortunate to be on this panel with you guys, and I look forward to it, man. And
for sure, I similar, just getting to know you guys and doing a little research on you guys. I've known Josten for a little bit. Last year we met out on the road at a junior college gym, and then he came out here for our head coach as a think tank, usually every spring/summer, and he came out here for that, and so got to know each other a little better, and but look forward to continuing to getting to know you guys.
Man, I think I've seen familiar faces on the road for sure. Like Rod said, man, grew up in the same city, same area, played at the same JUCO, coached one of the top teams at the city. And then Josh, and we played against each other back in the day, man. He was at Sam, I was at SFA. And so we kind of just kept in touch, man, the whole time. And once we both got into coaching, so we kind of built our relationship kind of pretty solid, over the years, man. But like I say, man, pleasure to meet all you guys, man. I'm thankful for this opportunity, man.
Yep. To wrap it up, man. AB, we played against each other, as he mentioned, have grown over the years, man. It's been all organic. Serge, man, I recognize you from AB's deal and seeing you interact with people, man, high-level guy. And then Brandon, man, going out west and hanging with them and seeing how they do things was really beneficial for me. I appreciated the hospitality for sure, man, and we've continued to grow. I don't know Rod and I don't know Chambers, at all, but, man, looking forward to building with y'all and learning more about you guys' plight, man. Really am.
For sure.
Yeah, great stuff, fellas. So so kind of my vision with this, man, was just just get some shine on some brothers that I think are some coaches, Brandon being included, even though he couldn't be with us today. Just some coaches that I think are, really quality, really high level dudes at what they do. Sometimes in our industry, everybody's kind of trying to do their job to do a great job at their program, but also, just make their mark, and I think sometimes, guys that deserve it don't always get it. And I'm not saying that other guys don't deserve it, but I know these 6 are super high level dudes. I'm excited to have you guys on, excited to have you guys more connected, and excited to have some fun with it. So just wanted to shine some light on these brothers today and these coaches. So we'll get started. We'll start with you on the East Coast, Serge, then we'll go West Coast, and then we'll just fill in. But tell us in 2 to 3 minutes a little bit about your basketball story, kind of where you played, how you got into coaching, and then where you are now. So I know that's kind of a lot, but in 3-4 minutes, try to give us a little recap and catch us up to speed.
I got you, man. I played at a small Division III school in New York, SUNY Potsdam. I kind of stumbled into coaching, to be honest with you. I didn't know if I wanted to get into it. But my college coach convinced me. It was a thing that he thought I'd be good at. So I played Division III at Potsdam. Then I ended up getting an assistant spot right at a Division III school in the same league, SUNY Cortland. I stayed there for 2 years. And from there, I went to a Division II institution, Adelphi University, which plays in the NE10, which is a really good Division II conference. And from there, I was able to jump on at St. Peter's University, and I've been there. Was there for about 5 or 6 years, and then was fortunate enough to get an opportunity with my head coach. Took me along to Marist, and I believe we're starting our 3rd season here. So that's pretty much a condensed version of what my story's been. And, just right now, just looking to continue to connect and meet good people like you guys.
Awesome. We'll pass the mic to you, B, over in the West Coast.
Yep. So I'm from Illinois. My father was a youth development coach. He runs a youth center back in Illinois, and just been around basketball my whole life, and played at a few schools at the college level, ended up finishing out at Arizona State and at Azusa Pacific University. Got into the sports agency side of things and didn't really like the industry. For me, it's all about impacting people, and I didn't feel like I had the ability to do that there. So got a call from my assistant that recruited me at Arizona Christian to be a part-time assistant with him that recruited me at Azusa Pacific. Got the chance to be a part-time assistant with him at the NAI level at Arizona Christian for a year, and then for 2 years I was full-time with him. Was fortunate enough to have my high school coach, who was a former college coach. He was at UAB at the time, moved up to Stanford, and they put me on staff there. Was able to grow my role, and then had 2 years ago at Nevada as an assistant, where we had a pretty special year. And then this year came down here with Dedrick Taylor, who was also one of my former coaches from Arizona State. So really enjoyed my time here and looking to continue to build.
Awesome. Let's go Antonio, Bostic. Let's go Josten, and let's go Rob.
Same thing, man. From Kansas City. Missouri, grew up in there. Moved to Kansas kind of later in my high school years. Did JUCO out in the Yo-Show out in Chanute, Kansas. Played ball there, man. Then I went to Seaman Falston. Played there for 3 years. And then after coaching, man, I went back. Same coach, Coach Holmes, man, gave me a chance as a player and as a coach. So I coached in JUCO. Went out there, man, started to love it. And then the following after 1 season in the Yo-Show, I was blessed with the opportunity to come out here at Abilene Christian. And so I've been at ACU now. Man, this is crazy. 4 years coming on 5.
Yeah.
So just, grinding it out, man, just trying to get better each and every day with my craft, man, that's all.
Man, a lot of similarities, with my deal, being from Houston, not too far from where you at right now, AB, and going from there and going and playing at Sam Houston for 4 years under Bob Marlin, played against a lot of really, really good players and had some good teams there. Really proud of that. After I finished playing, I needed another year to finish graduate school, so I was able to get my MBA, and then went across the waters and played in Europe for 3 years. With the same team, which is really rare. Had some health deals and had some family issues and wanted to get back to the States in 2015. Did a year of player development again for a guy that I played for in Bob Marlin. And man, he was gracious enough, and God had kind of just laid the path there to where I was able to get on the road and be a full-time assistant in 2016. And again, a lot of similarities. I'm starting my 5th year here, had some good teams, and really, really love impacting the youth, man, and helping them, giving back that ball in a different way. So I'm excited about what lies next.
Well, I'm from Kansas City.
Anytime you clear your throat, fellas, that's when you know you got some heat coming. That's when you know.
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Obviously, I went to Lee Summer West High School in Kansas City, played for Mike Sheaver, who's obviously had some good alumni come out of there, some pros in these past few years. But from Kansas City, I went to Neosho County my freshman year. My sophomore year, I went to Redlands Community College. And I finished up at NAI school in Kentucky, Lindsey Wilson College. Played there. I graduated in 2015. I'm a 2011 high school graduate. Graduated in 2015. Moved to Dallas where my mom had moved while I was in college. Lived at mama's house for a year. Worked at Nike. And the next year, I took a high school job in Dallas. We were awful, but I coached with RM5 Elite, Mo Williams' team. And then my next 2 summers, I coached with Pro Skills in Dallas. Obviously, was able to get really well connected through that. I worked for Future 150 before that as well for about 5 months for free, which kind of helped me get exposed to a lot of guys. But like the kid, CJ Roberts, that's at New Mexico State, his dad actually kind of helped throw me in everything. So Tim Martin gave me my first assistant coaching job in grassroots. Was able to do that. After a year of coaching high school in Dallas, I went to Sunrise Christian, and my 2 years there were crazy good. They were phenomenal. Had some really good players. My first year, we were number 2 team in the country by USA Today. Was able to make it to the high school national championships the next year. Coached with Mocan Elite in the summertime, which I grew up knowing those guys, so it was kind of homecoming for me. My first summer, we went to the Final Four at Peace Jam. My second summer with them, we ended up winning Peace Jam, and that was, able to parlay into Sam Houston State for 4 days. And then I went to UIC after that. So basically in 1 week, I had 2 different jobs. It was a crazy deal. Brian know about that. But went to UIC this year. Had a lot of highs and lows. Was able to get to the Horizon League championship game. And 4 days later, was able to get my first firing in college basketball. So the staff, we got let go. So it's been kind of a crazy summer for me. But this coming up year, I'll be at Austin Peay University in Clarksville. That's part of the reason I'm in a hotel right now, because I'm trying to look for a crib. So we kind of all getting tied in together at the right time. So that's just my story.
Yeah, congratulations. Big news. Knew he was clearing his throat for something. I just knew it. I had a feeling. Again, I can't say enough about, sometimes in this business we kind of get caught up in the labels and who has a certain logo on their shirt. But the one thing I can tell you about every guy on this call is every single guy on this call is a high major impact coach. So I call them high major coaches. So you'll hear me refer to them as that the rest of the time, just out of respect to them, because we do this for impact, not just for the logo on our shirts. So that's what I love about the gentlemen in this room. They care about their craft and they care about the impact of the young men in their program. So that being said, just in 1 minute, how would you describe, for a minute to a minute and a half, what would you say is your why to why you coach? Let's just get straight to it. Anybody can lead it.
For me, it's simple. I don't even need a minute. It's impact. The game of basketball taught me things um, that I would never learn in the classroom, just similar to everybody else here, as we all know. And the area I grew up in wasn't great. Like I said, my father runs a youth center, and he's been able to help a lot of guys out with basketball and keep them out of trouble, keep them out of the streets. And that's one thing I've always wanted to be able to do, is just to be able to give a kid an opportunity by involving with me that they may not have had the chance to have before. So that's reason 1, 2, and 3 why I do it.
Awesome. Thanks, B.
I agree, man. I'll piggyback off of that. I was going to use impact too, but I'll change it and I'll say direction. A lot of these guys come from different backgrounds, and some of them are older than they have to be at a younger age. I think, and everything I kind of believe in is faith-based, and just making them understand where their source of power comes from, and all the things that have happened before them, and showing them, they can do some things that maybe they didn't think they could. So I would just say just redirecting some of them, just being a funnel, trying to get them to where they're going to get next, and just be better men, for their families, for the future kids, the future wives, and the family setting that a team, institutes, man. I can't speak to that enough. It's just a direction and where they're going.
Man, you took that right out of my mouth, man. Seriously, direction was for me. Born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, and obviously, the two options that a lot of kids in the inner city have. And I chose the path of basketball, and that's helped me. Just like you said, Coach B, in everything that I've done. Ultimately, I wanted to be a professional basketball player, and it didn't work out. But I realized that there's other things in basketball that you can do, and that's kind of what I preach to these young men and the student athletes that I coach. That it's not all about being a professional. You can be a professional. I'm using the NCAA mantra right now. You can be successful or a professional in something else having to do with basketball. It doesn't necessarily have to equate with you putting the ball in the actual basket. And that's what the satisfaction for me of coaching is, just being able to direct those guys in other avenues in their lives.
Big time. Both of you guys, great.
For me, man, it's real simple too, man. A couple of years ago, it probably would have had different answers, but now, man, it's just simply spread the gospel through the game of basketball. Devoted my life over to Christ, man, so I understand, man, things a little bit bigger. There's more to life than what's going on, man. I feel like this is just at this age, I was lost, and God bless me with this gift to be here, put us all in this position to be here right now, man. So I'm just simply trying to bring guys closer to God, man, and they can just get a little bit of faith. I'm saying I'm happy with that. You know what I'm saying? So that's my sole mission right now.
I think
if you don't mind me asking real quick, Rob, before you go, Tone, what would it have been 2 years ago, and what made you change, if you don't mind me asking?
2 years ago, it been just the same goes with everybody's saying, man, just to help people, you know what I'm saying, get better. I feel like I could just help every player get better than what it would have been, just to help every player be better than what I was. That would have been my statement probably two years ago, man, but which is still the same in what's going on right now, man. Just to see that I just want to, you know what I'm saying, incorporate the gospel and God in what I do now.
Amen.
For me, I think basketball was something that my dad wasn't really super involved, and I didn't really have a man that was like putting the ball in my hands early. So I kind of found it on my own, and it just became something that I loved, and kind of took me away from some things that I had to go through growing up, or some things that I didn't want to be involved in, whatever the case may be. But honestly, I think that this grind of life, it takes a lot of grind and a little bit of luck, just getting in the right situations. And the biggest thing that I always use with the guys that I coach is just, I'm less than 10 years from their age, and you see where I am. And I find it as a huge blessing, and I kind of want to be something they can look up to and be inspired by, because I didn't have that growing up, and I always wanted to be. I wanted that. I wanted that role. I wanted somebody close to my age that could show me that things are possible. if that makes sense. And so if I can be that for those young guys and the guys I'm able to impact and be around, then that's worth more than money to me. So that just comes behind it. But it's more so just being inspiration and being somebody that people would be proud to say that they look up to in certain moments.
Sure. No, it's big time. Great stuff, man. Let's shift gears a little bit to a little lighter note. Tell us one funny story or funny thing you learned about yourself or a family member during the quarantine when everybody's locked in the house, you got nothing else you can do, and you just got to figure it out. Now, Serge, I think Coach Serge is the only one on here with kids other than myself. So his probably involve a wife or kid per chance, but anybody else can feel free to go first too.
Well, I'm just going to go real quick because she's getting agitated. Man, listen, changing diapers, man. Like, so stop. So
you weren't changing them before, Coach? You weren't changing them before?
I wasn't changing because, like I said, my situation was a little different this year with my wife traveling back and forth between New York and Poughkeepsie. So first time I've actually had my daughter for a while, for like 3 months, because my wife's an essential worker. So I'm learning a lot of stuff, man. I'm learning. I'm learning the pre-poop and the after-poop, and I'm learning. I'm just learning. It's just things. Just when they the sleeping patterns, how to adjust to that, and just making sure I don't, feed her like every 3 hours like she's a newborn, and like she's playing me, thinking, because she just wants to. So it's little things like that I have to adjust to, because I feed her every 3 hours. The first month I was feeding her every 3 hours, like, oh, okay. Then my wife is like, no, she's just baiting you. So things like little stuff like that. But I've gotten better, and just that's one thing I learned how to deal with my daughter more or less during this quarantine.
Getting real skilled. That's good. That's good.
Hey, Serge, I got a little nephew that I'm just starting to get involved with, and changing diapers is harder than my college algebra classes, dog.
Mm-hmm.
That was like science to me, so I feel you.
Listen, I don't change her at night because it's like 2:30 in the morning. Next thing you know, she wake up with a bag load of in the morning, like the diaper as big as a bag, man. I'm like, I'm not messing around at night, man. I almost put sugar in her bottle because I was so tired, man.
Sticking with kids, I'm fortunate enough that when I came out here to Fullerton, my best friend was coaching out in Utah and actually took a job down the road at Azusa Pacific. And so his daughter is my goddaughter. So I've gotten to spend a lot more time with her over quarantine. And his wife is actually pregnant again now. So they've had a couple getaways where I've had to look after the daughter, and it just reassured me that I ain't ready for kids yet. Like, it's different. It's different when you can't give them back. Like, it's a whole different story. So
a whole different ball game.
Some good birth control for me.
I go, Nate. Brandon must have forgot this is being recorded, but I'm looking at some of you guys, man. I'm pretty sure with all of us, including you, Brian, we can come up with a Sweet 16 team. But to kind of bring my point together, we had a lot of time at home. All of us have. And shoot, man, we get to thinking we need to do something different workout-wise or getting outside or doing something. Hey, man, I'm done. I ain't no player no more. Coaching is hot in South Louisiana. So unless y'all want to come, peel me up off the street, man, that part is over with. I'm sure some of you guys can relate a little bit.
No question.
Yeah, for me, man, that's kind of a tough question, man, just because I'm by myself, like nothing going on, man, no wife, no kids, man. But the most fun thing for me, man, just knowing how bad I am in golf, man. I try to pick up something new during quarantine, man. Golf ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? It takes time. You can't just go out there into the golf club, man. So I'm starting to figure that out right now, man. Super fun, man, but I'm bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna come mess with you on the next go around. Maybe next year. So I come down there and make it happen, man. I'm terrible too, so we're good. We're good.
Hey, get a real mean game of Top Golf at the Final Four, man. Get that set up. What's one thing, man, anybody can take the lead on this. What's one thing from the quarantine and being at home and just being able to slow down and unplug a little bit? Obviously, we've been doing some Zooms and people we've been recruiting, and we're getting back closer to more normal and going outside. But during the time when it was more shut down and slowed down, what's one thing you take from that time that you will keep with you as we transition to new normal?
Can I answer this real quick?
Yeah.
I'll be really honest with you. I would say Zoom itself, because now you're thinking about in the wintertime, at times, obviously it snows over here. There are times where, it's hard to get into the office. Now we have access to Zoom. We want to have these staff meetings as opposed to going in and, the hustle and bustle of dealing with the snow. Now we can be just as interactive on Zoom. And being on Zoom is probably one of the best things ever. I know there was Skype and things of that nature, but now Zoom, you're just as interactive, and you can still share the screen. You can still get your point across. And I think that's the one thing my boss will keep in play, and we'll utilize Zoom and a lot more. So that's pretty much one thing during quarantine that I would definitely keep.
I think one thing I keep during quarantine really, I think, this year I worked for one of the older cats in the business, so he got everything he could out of me this year. So I went 7 months without seeing my family, which is the longest I've ever done. And I'm grateful for it because I learned a lot. But you kind of go through quarantine and you get more time. Like, I'm probably one of those vigilantes that I was flying during quarantine. Once I found out it was safe as hell. But just seeing my family, man, and going, seeing a couple of my friends and stuff like that, man, I think that you get so caught up during the season because we're so busy and we got so many things going on, and when you start to see your family more, you start to remember, like, I got to keep these things together. It can't be just that much separation because, and a lot of times they your fuel to your tank, dog. Like, you need them. You need that reassurance of love and leadership, comfort. From a spiritual standpoint, you have more time to devote yourself to improving, being closer to God. Like, all of those things come into play, man. So it's just really staying grounded with what is your why. Remembering your why during this quarantine is easy because you got all the time in the world to think about it. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing is going forward. Just being able to balance these things out as best as I can is going to be very, very important.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a big thing for me, man. Just the fact that I got to grow so much spiritually with all this time, reading more, diving into more scripture. So that's the thing I'm trying to keep, man. Because like I say, man, we get so caught up in work sometimes, doing this and doing that, man. I gotta feed myself and my spiritual life as well, man, to keep that balance, man. You can't pour from an empty cup, man. So I gotta keep that maintained, stay consistent with that.
I feel like I've been lucky that I've always had some really good bosses who have allowed me to have time with family for the most part. And I've kept a good balance there. But I think during the quarantine, I've been able to kind of reorganize my life when it came to taking care of myself from an eating perspective, as well as a workout perspective. Like, we all think in our minds we can do what we did when we were athletes without having the same activity level, which is just, it's not true. And I got to a point after about a month where I wasn't doing anything. I was like, man, I'm sluggish. And so I got to really sit down, get with some nutrition people and change the way I eat, change my habits and change my workout habits. I probably haven't run, just like straight run the block, treadmill. I probably haven't done that since I played, because normally the only way I get in shape is by playing and keep my cardio up. And now I didn't have that option during quarantine. So I'm hoping that I can keep that up as we transition back into whatever the new normal is going to be. But I think that's been something that's been big for me.
Couldn't agree more, man. Two things that you guys said is reaching out and touching your family and your close people in your circle. Man, you can never do that enough. Learning that more and more every day. And then the second thing is just, getting stronger in your spiritual, man. I know a lot of us play on Saturdays and Sundays, and then, by definition, you got to miss, service or whatever, your choice of faith is, but Sunday's the day to do that most of the time, and we miss that. So, you've definitely been able to refill that cup a little bit more, and then dip and dab in some other materials that, have been passed down from other, good people, like yourselves and people I consider to be mentors has been really good for me.
Oh, that's all big time stuff. I think, God has done such a great job of slowing all of us down to just get our attention and get us to focus on some of the, just the fundamental things that we can take for granted and moving so fast. I definitely think that time in the Word and the Zoom and everything, all the answers you guys said are right on point. And I would add one more even to the Zoom, and just we actually started doing some family Zooms on Sunday. We're kind of like you were talking about, Serge, with the staff members getting together, but getting with the extended family, that sometimes we only get together when it's a funeral or a family reunion if we can make it, but our industry doesn't always allow us to make it. So just connecting with other members of our family, I think, is super important too, as we keep going forward with Zooms and our technology. And it's okay to lead that, we don't have to just follow and wait for somebody else to do it. We all know how to do Zoom at this point. But so moving right along, let's talk more specific to your situation, your staff, your school, your place. Let's talk about our head coaches. All of us and all of you guys have been blessed with head coaches that have given you an opportunity. So what would you say are 3 characteristics that makes your head coach great? Anybody can lead it.
Well, one for me is with Coach Taylor. Obviously, I played for him in college, but he is the same way as an assistant, as a head coach as he was as an assistant. I mean, he's very relatable. Like, I've never seen a head coach where guys just want to come in his office and hang out. Like, he can talk to our guys about anything and it's rarely that they're talking about basketball when they come in our office, unless we set the meeting. So I think that's something that's huge. The second thing is he never puts himself above anybody in the program. He's not going to ask a manager to do something that he wouldn't do. Like, he'll sweep the floor if he has to. He'll do things like that. And I think he has a great level of humility there. And the other thing is he cares for us. And it's hard to quantify it, but I feel like everyone knows if someone has a genuine care for them or not. And you see it every day, and just the way he talks to the guys, the way he talks to our staff, and the things that he does for us, and he just has a genuine care. So I think he feels more like family, obviously, to me, because I played for him. But I feel like for our players, it's the same thing. It's a unique situation. We had 2 coaches leave his staff to become head coaches in the same year. And then myself and another coach who actually was with me at Nevada went down to Fullerton. And the only reason was because of him. I played for him 10 years ago. Gus played for him 20 years ago at UC Davis. And he's kept that relationship really, really strong. And it's not just us, it's everybody. So I think he's just a relational guy, man.
Yeah, he's special in a lot of the things he does. Obviously, going to the NCAA tournament already at a young age, and then having 2 guys work for him that have become head coaches is kind of unheard of from that level. I can speak to knowing Diedrich, and for those that don't know, he has a minority coaches think tank every summer that he hosts. It is a big time, career enlightening opportunity and experience if you get a chance to do it. Anybody else can go next.
I'll jump in real quick. I couldn't agree more, with you, Brandon, and even knowing Diedrich a little bit, man, that was a really, really strong event. And man, I was shocked almost at how real he got. And I can imagine how it is working for him. So man, I got to tip the hat to him and you. And you working for a great guy, man. And not everybody has that, to kind of turn the page to Coach Marlin. Obviously he's really, really experienced, been a lot of different places. His resume speaks for itself, but the 1 or 2 things that he really does, for our staff is that he doesn't micromanage at all, man. He's a person that's going to hire someone that he trusts and believes in, and he's going to let you do your thing. You know, now obviously he has right of first refusal on some things and can change some stuff. But as far as scouting and recruiting and management and, you know, media, you know, all those things, fundraising, he gives you an access to all of that. So I know some people don't have that. So I'm thankful to have that. And then the other thing he does is, as a person, man, he enhances, you know, your confidence, not just as a player, but as a staff member. And again, that's just feeding into people. And like you said, Brandon, you know, when someone cares about you. I'm in a position where I'm with the guy that I played for. I do not take that lightly at all. And man, we're family. So I got the same tools that you're working with for, you know, the most part, Brandon.
And just to add to that, I think that's really important what you said. Just Coach Taylor's the same way. Just a guy that really trusts his staff. He hires people he trusts, and he kind of gives you the free reign. And we have one guy on staff with a family, and he allows him, like, get your work done, be here early for the guys, get your work done, be with your family. You don't have to do everything in the office. And for us, that makes us want to work harder for you because you care about us outside of just getting stuff done with you there. Like, you want us to have lives and live our lives as long as we're being productive. So for me, I think that is as big of a thing as any for any job that I'm at.
Yeah, I think credit to you guys too, not to interrupt you, sirs, but credit to you guys both too, that you can have the track record and the history and the credibility with guys that you played for that they wanted to hire you. I think Antonio's in the similar situation with Coach Tanner as the associate head coach, but I've known Coach Marlin for a long time. One of his best players he had at Sam Houston State. So I was in junior college, Jim Sagona, who actually played, I think, Serge, at the same school you played at. We'll have to talk about that. He's an upstate New York guy. He played at Potsdam, same school you played at. So we'll have to talk about that. But him and Coach Marlin are great friends. Coach Marlin recruited and signed a player first when I was at Collin County, and then the big fish that he signed later was Gilberto Clavel, who was eventually newcomer of the year in the Southland, and then player of the year in the Southland. And then after his newcomer of the year is when Coach Marlin got the job at Lafayette. So tremendous basketball coach, great dude. Shout out to Coach Marlin and being smart enough to hire Josten Crow too. He knows talent.
Too kind, man.
I just want to express the same sentiment that you guys had for your head coaches of mine. I've been with my guy going on 9 years, and pretty much broke me into the game. First things first, he's a good dude. You know, just genuine, really good individual. Similar to what you guys are saying as far as letting you see your family and being human. You know, that's the part that people undervalue, that, you know, this profession is going up and down, but yeah, human at the end of the day. And my boss realizes that, and that's first and foremost for him. Second thing, from a basketball standpoint, he pays attention to detail. Like, his detail game is unbelievable as far as the scouting reports and as far as the walkthroughs on the court. It's very in depth. If I were to show you guys my walkthrough sheet, you guys wouldn't believe me, and how he makes our guys retain the information provided. And he's very detail oriented and organized. And lastly, the one thing I really admire about him is he gives everybody a voice. Even our managers, in a sense, like, if managers work for free or they're doing some GA things and getting classes, etc. But like, we have a manager who was pretty good, and he would ask his opinion, and, you know, just because he's around the guys. And no one's too little, no one's too big for him. And, you know, he lets everyone in and likes to hear perspectives from other people. So that's what makes my boss a really good head coach.
And same, man. I can agree with every single one of y'all, man. Just his passion and his heart, man, and how he feels, man. He, like I said, man, he lets me work, trusts me what to do. And like you say, man, I hit the word, man, genuine. So I really don't have too much to say, man, because I'm in a similar situation as you guys, man. Just blessed for the opportunity, man. But from the family situation, letting you do things, been very understandable. That's him, man. So to sum up Joe Golden, man, I'd say, man, he got a great heart, man, and it's just he makes it easy to work for him, man, for sure.
Yeah, you forgot about energy, though. You forgot about energy and comedy. And
that energy, man, he coming with it, man. It's at a whole nother level, man. That's just him and who he is, man. And then he gonna come with every single day, man. No days off, man. And it goes back to kind of like the passion, man. But he definitely got that, man. He full of it.
Yeah, he's full of energy. I was blessed to work with Joe for 3 years at Abilene Christian, 2 years Division II, and they made the transition year. Serge, I don't know your head coach yet. I look forward to meeting him, but Joe is he's not afraid to just be Joe. I think that's what I love about him. He knows who he is. He knows who he's not. He's gonna have fun with it. He's gonna have some jokes, but a great basketball mind and cares about people at an extremely high level too. So. Shout out to Joe G taking his alma mater to the tournament too. That's a special story. I see.
I don't know if I should. Do I need to talk about my former boss or like my head coach now?
Is your world? I would say probably your head coach now.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I've been knowing Coach Figure personally for probably 2.5 months now, 3 months now, I guess you could say. But I met him 2 years ago. He came to Sunrise to recruit a little Venezuelan point guard that actually plays at Austin P now. He came to recruit him at the gym at Sunrise, and we talked for probably, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Like it was brief, but we kind of, got to talk, get to know each other just a little bit, and he remembered me from that. But Matt Souther is the man who runs MoKen, and Coach Fig has known him for over a decade from when Coach Figure was at Kansas State with Frank Martin back in the day. So his relationships run deep with a lot of guys that I'm close to that I consider family. So Coach Fig, so far, man, he is polar opposites of where I come from working. Not in a negative way. It's just that like he's one of them guys that like last week he called me on Friday night and apologized for calling me. I've never had that happen. He was like, man, he called me one Sunday and was like apologizing. I'm like, man, I hate to mess up your weekend. I'm like, what? Like you call me whatever you want to. Like you better sign my checks. I don't really care. But he's big on family, man. He's never. Since I've been working with him, granted it's a brief time, but he hasn't been prying at me or, he's asked me to do one thing. He'll ask me to do something one time and he trusts me to go get it done. And he's one of those guys you could tell that he really values having guys around that he can trust. And he's never going to try to make you feel uncomfortable with anything. But he does expect you to work, which for me, I don't have issues with that at all because I like to really, really get out and work. So I think for him, he kind of sets a bar and he expects you to just go and reach it. And he's not going to kick you in your ass to make sure you can go do it. He just expects you to do it, which I'm perfectly fine with. So far, man, he's been great. He's been really accommodating to me and my girlfriend and trying to make sure that my transition is as easy as possible. And I mean, so far, I mean, it seems like a guy that I love to work for years to come. So I'm hoping that could come true.
Awesome. All right, we'll do a little fun round again. So we'll start out we'll let Dunstan go first. He's the cool, calm, and collected one. So we'll throw him on the hot seat first. So you're going to do a 1 minute to 1.5 minute recruiting pitch to sell Fullerton to one of the other people on the Zoom call. So I will let you recruit. We'll have you recruiting Lester Stewart, who is a combo forward. He can play outside. He can play inside. He got the mismatch ability. He bangs down low and he can make threes. He's kind of like a poor man Charles Barkley. You got to sell him to Fullerton in 1 minute to 1.5 and tell him why he should join. Go.
Gotcha. Les, how's it going, man? We go back quite a ways. You're a Chicago dude. I'm an Illinois guy. The Fullerton program is all about 3 degrees. We're about development. All right. First degree is going to be your academic degree, which is always important. The second degree is you're going to have a man leading you from a similar type of background as you to help you through life and help you to learn different things, tools to help you navigate life. All right. And the third is going to be your basketball degree. Like you're going to learn not just your skill sets, not just reads and things like that, but what you got to put in your body, your sleep habits that you need. So when you're done here, no one can tell you what you need to do. You can tell them, this is what I need. It's the biggest thing for us is we want you to make as much money as possible playing the game of basketball when you leave here. That's all we want to talk about when it comes to a basketball perspective. Because if we're doing that, that means we're winning, because that's the only way for you to be the best you is if we win and have the best opportunities, which means everything that doesn't have to do with winning doesn't matter. All right, so we're upfront, we're honest, that's who we are. Like, we're gonna care about you and we're gonna develop you in 3 different ways. So choice is yours.
Boom. What you gonna do, Stuart? You in?
And I got a question.
Hey, we got a point guard for you to play with.
I got two questions. Do y'all got a pool on campus?
You've been there, you know. We got some pretty nice pools out there, man.
Hey, is that what you told Jalen Harris?
He stopped by. He got the little picture, but we got a really good point guard for you to play with. He's familiar with Casper too, so.
Hey, I'm in. I'm because of the point guards there. I'm there.
I'm just making sure you wasn't getting proposed to and then having questions on the proposal. Making sure. Great job, Brandon. So we'll great decision too, Les. Great decision. So Serge, we'll move to you next. The vet. We got a speedy jet point guard and T. Jackson, right? T. Jackson is as fast as it gets with the ball in his hands, can make guys better. He's like a poor man's Tony Parker, just knows how to win. So you got to sell him. He's coming from Dallas, so please excuse him. He's going to have to come all the way to the East Coast, but he ain't scared. He got some relatives in the East Coast, so he's ready to go.
Man, listen, man. Just have a simple conversation with him. Like, look, Marist College is losing a point guard because we are losing a point guard. I want to be put in a situation where the ball's in your hands, run a lot of ball screen, open ball screens, and everything comes back in your hands. And obviously from an institutional standpoint, everything's based on what you want to study. If you want to study business, we got that. Communications, we have that. Pretty much every school is going to have those general majors, but you got to find the right fit for you and the right people. I think in a situation where if you want to be away from home, listen, we got 3 to 4 guys that are from the Midwest, 2 kids from Dallas. Actually, got 1 kid from Texas right now on the roster, a couple kids from Atlanta, and actually a Chicago kid. So you shouldn't feel you shouldn't feel comfortable being away from home. So get you with those guys right away. Definitely want to see if we could get you on campus, if that. If not, get you on the phone with coach. Put you in the best situation where I can have you speak to a couple guys that we put in the league, playing overseas for some money. But ultimately, it's going to come down to if you want to be away from home, you want to go to point guard U, because we do have that. We have sent a couple guys to not the NBA, but making money on the next level. And, obviously you got to get to know us. Everyone's skill is ultimately going to be the same. It's just going to come down to where do you feel comfortable at? That's all I got for you right now.
Coach, T. Jackson, great job, sir. T. Jackson, what you got for us, man? What's the verdict?
Man, I'm always team free school, man. So I get the chance to go get a free education. Right, y'all paying for it. I'm good money, man. Don't worry about it. I'll be there.
So you talking like you're from the East Coast already, man. Is there a connection I didn't know about?
There is, man. I grew up a little bit in Buffalo.
See, I thought I knew there was a connection. I knew that.
I grew up in Buffalo.
So you got your pen. You already ready to sign. You good?
Hey, man, let's go. Let's make a rocket Marist.
All right, good. That's what I like to hear. Serge, you got you another one, man. Another notch in the belt. We'll go Abilene. Abilene, we We know you run the 2-game high-low motion system. Need some guys that can make threes with all the bigs you got banging in the paint, causing havoc. So we got Mike Lopez Jr., still a shooter. He was a shooter 2 nights ago. He's an elite shooter, one of the best in the country. You got a chance to sign him. Go.
Oh man, so Mike, man, it's simple, man. So we losing an all-conference shooting guard, shooting threes, 40% from the line. He gets them up, man. We play inside out, man. But if you're open, man, we're looking to tell you to shoot that ball, man. It's great character guys. It's a good team. It's very culture-based. Guys hang out, man, with good relationships. Pretty much simple, man. You're gonna come here. Academics is first. One thing we preach, man, is don't be average, whether it's on the court or off the court. So we invest in you guys. I want the best for you guys after. If you want to play pro, that's something we can do. We send guys there. We can put you in contact with those guys. If not, man, whatever you want to do, man, we're going to support you in life, man. It's all about having the best fit. We want you to be comfortable. Now I build a relationship with you, man, for recruiting. You're saying I'll probably stay in touch with you whether you come to Alvin Christian or not, just because that's the type of person I am, man. So your choice, man, but with the 2-game, shots up, that's what we like to do, man. So if you're a sharp shooter, man, you can come in and play right away, man, because the spot that we losing, key piece, man, that's the spot that you play. So that's Abilene Christian in a nutshell for you, man.
And both Dunston and Bostic really humble. They forgot to mention that they just went to the tournament within the past few years. But that's okay. That's the humility. That's what I love about these dudes. Mike, what you think, man? What you think? The Wildcat way, the ACU difference? What you think?
I just want to know how close are they to the water? Like, is there a beach nearby?
Oh, they got water fountains.
No, man, I'm a Texas boy, so I'm in. I'm in.
I like to hear, Mike. Appreciate
you do have a nice, really elite pool on campus, though, Bostic, don't you?
We do got a nice little pool in the rec center, man. They go with a little circle, hot tub. We got you.
Got all that. Good work.
I'm not about negative recruiting, but my school sits right on the Hudson, baby. So
just saying, there's opportunity.
I'm just saying, I'm not about negative recruiting now, but yeah, the water right outside the window, you know.
There's opportunity. I love it.
That's cool, man. We can both come. Man. Y'all got it like that.
Rod, see, we got you. I don't know Dante at all, but he just looks like a dude that's just mean and not afraid to get anything done he needs to get done. So your job is to recruit him. He is an all-purpose player, can play multiple positions. He's a kind of a, let's see, he got the mean streak like a Ron Artest, but he got a skill set like a Lamar Odom. He just brings the whole thing to the table. Could be a player of the year. You got to figure out how to get him done. You just got hired, but he's in the 2021 class. Let's see what you got, Rob.
That's perfect. Well, our starting 4-man, who's not your traditional 4-man, he's a 6'5", do everything utility guy, and right now he's the number 2 leading active scorer in college basketball right now. So those are the shoes that you can come in and feel, man. He's one of the best players. He's going to lead the best player in Austin Peay history. He averaged 21 and 11 as a junior, the player of the year in the OVC conference, which is a league that's kind of sexy right now, seeing that the number 2 pick in the NBA last year was John Morant. Obviously, you can come to the number 4 city in Tennessee, so pretty decent size, man. We got a really nice campus, great basketball tradition, great history. And again, you got an opportunity to play for a head coach that's been to a Final Four in South Carolina. We're known for scoring a lot of points, which I know a lot of dudes like to do. We like to run a lot of our sets through the bigs, which really, because you're versatile, you can play on the perimeter. We can isolate you, or we can throw you inside. We like to run 2-game, throw the ball over the top. Big emphasis on getting the ball around the rim and getting the high percentage basket. So somewhere you can come and really kind of flex your stuff and expand your game. And as far as again, a campus life and people around, you got people around that really love the family environment. They take good care of the guys. Coach takes really good care of the guys. You got a great coaching staff that's really big on development, not only player development, but people development. It's going to be a good, nurturing community for you. But in terms of basketball side, again, you're replacing one of the best players in school history. That's going to leave a lot of opportunity open for somebody.
Think, Dante. You kind of went in depth right there. What you think?
One of the questions I would have is how is he the guy that's of course leading the country, or second leading scorer, like you said? How is he going to be able, or is he open to taking somebody under his wing for that year? So I know he's trying to, of course, get to that next level. Is he open to taking somebody else under his wing?
Well, unfortunately, he's going to be graduating and making a lot of money next year, so he won't even be in your way for that. But in terms of a recruiting pitch, just showing you his film and showing you kind of the ways that he scored and progressively through his 4-year career, how he got better, extending his range, making himself tougher to guard, being able to really become a mismatch is something that you could obviously see that we'll make sure we lay out to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from home anyway. Sign me up.
Yeah.
So,
man.
Another deal closed. Good work. Okay, last one, Jay. We'll have you be recruiting Big Will Caldwell. He mans the paint. He's a defensive dominant presence, rim protector, rim runner, and actually has ability to score in the low post. Can face up, can play back to the basket. Whatever you need in the paint, he gets it done.
Okay. Well, Will, I'll tell you this, man, from getting to know you, man, I can promise you a lot of different things, but man, I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you. The only thing that I'm gonna tell you we're gonna do for you is max you out as a player and as a person. And from knowing you, I know that drives your engine a little bit, man. You gonna take that challenge, and you're gonna take it to the next level. So if you do two things here, if you produce and we win, man, everybody wins. So I'm looking at a guy like you who can man our paint, whether it's man or zone. And with your versatility, man, we're going to throw the ball inside. But again, I'm going to hold a mirror up and put it back on you, man. Can you accept that challenge? Okay. You know about nice facilities, man. Everybody has them, but it's just about the people in position to help you that really, really matters. And I can tell you that as a coach, but I can also tell you that as a former player. You're going to be with a guy who's going to push you, who's going to challenge you, but he's also going to develop you, not just as a player, but as a young man and going forward. And the last thing I'll leave you with, Will, is, man, this is not a 4-year deal. It's a lifetime deal. Man, I'm a living testament of that, and I think you can fill those shoes too. So you ready to sign on this dotted line or what, man?
You know what, Coach? I like what you're talking about on the program, but I just need one promise from you. Mm-hmm. I need a free week of free Cajun food. That's all I need. And you got me.
Now, he can't speak on that because that's impermissible benefits. We're not going to set him up for failure. But
I'm good. I can answer that, man. I'm good. I can answer that. I can't promise a week, but I can promise you, man, in South Louisiana, the tailgating is tremendous. And that's for general students, for the general population. You can come out and eat in 7, 8 different places as much as you want. You got crawfish, you got the fried fish and shrimp, the etouffee. I don't know if that's too much for you, man. You know what? It might be too much for you. Let me back up. You don't want to hear that.
I'm coming, Coach. I'm coming. Sign me up.
Oh, well played. Well played.
I'm coming too.
Come on, man. Make it a group event, man.
Well played, fellas. Well played. So last kind of topic on your individual schools. 1 to 2 minutes on just what makes your place special. Anybody can go in any order. What makes your school special? I know, Rod, you're just not getting there, but you know enough about it. You can speak on it too.
I'll lead, man, on this one. I'd say at Marist, I would say the academic support from coaches and in conjunction with the academic support. When you walk on campus, every team and everyone is just welcoming and wants you to do well. From the administrators, every team is coming to your game. The fan support is there. From an academic standpoint, our guys are, we have an academic advisor that's second to none, and just the academic support. There's no excuse as to why these guys shouldn't be passing their classes, because you got managers that are watching after them. You have the head academic advisor watching after them, the second academic advisor watching after them. There's so many resources, so these guys cannot fail. The only way they fail is if they choose to fail. And as I said before, administrative support. I mean, the facilities are second to none. Our guys get treated the best from a gear standpoint to from the head to their toes. They're well equipped. So I would say the two things is the academic support and the administrative support is what makes this place a special place.
For us, I mean, the area is outstanding. We're 15 minutes from the beach, from 3, 4, 5 beaches. We're right outside of LA. We're near Hollywood. I'm in Southern California, and as a student athlete, you don't have to pay for it. So you get to live in one of the best places. And yes, there's a high cost of living, but you're not incurring any of that. And I think that's one thing that's really good. But I think the most important part for us is the people. And I keep going back to that, being relational. We always talk family. I know everyone says that, but we kind of put it in a way where it's like, if you've got a teammate or a coworker or something like that, you're going to do the best you can for them. But for family, you're going to do whatever it takes. And so I feel like everyone that surrounds us and touches our program, we intentionally make sure they're only people that'll do whatever it takes to help you get the job done.
I'll chime in. I kind of talked about this a little bit. You know, being in Louisiana, I think it's one of the most culture-driven places, not just in the country, but in the world. To be honest with you, and the two things people are crazy about here is their sports and Mardi Gras. I know that's not something we want our guys indulging in a whole lot, but man, the people, again, like Brandon just said, they are amazing. They are invitive. The culture here is people driven. People are going to recognize you, and it's a true college town. So, that probably, it sums it up, but I mean, you can only speak to it if you've experienced it, man. It's just like not other places, in this country.
For me, it's just more so faith-based, the Christian atmosphere. And kind of going with what you guys said, man, just support. You're more than just a basketball player or a student here at this university, man. You actually get to know people, and there's genuine relationships, man. They continue on, man. So just that part of it, mixing the Christianity and the faith with the loving and all the support that you get, man, all over campus, outside of how good campus is, and it's just that, man. It's just very genuine. A lot of good hearts around, man, and support, man. You feel it. You know what I'm saying? You're just not here right now for your time, and you go away, and then everything's gone. So that's probably the best part about it here at Abilene Christian, in my opinion.
I think just, a small dose that I've been able to, see myself is obviously I'm coming from a school that was in a big city. It's not fun when you run out that tunnel, and like I know when my girl's late to the game because it's only 10 people there. So you don't want to play. Sometimes it's not good playing at a city school just because you don't get the feel and you don't get the entire impact of college sports. What you see on TV, what you dream about playing amongst. So I think that, going somewhere in a college town, a town that's really driven by the sports team is always big. You want to be in a town that has some type of intimate feel to it, so you feel like you have family, so you feel protected, so you feel safe, being that it's going to be a home away from home for you, or even just to be influenced and impacted by people that could, later help you in life because you had a personal relationship with them. A lot of times it's not great going to a city school just for that alone, but for networking purposes, there's a lot of good professionals that come out of Clarksville, Tennessee. You're right, 40 minutes from Nashville, which is another great place to live, a great place to be around. And again, it's down south, which people down here really do care about their sports. You get a lot of good people coming to the games. When you play against Murray State, that's one of the biggest rivalries in mid-major basketball. You're going to have 8,000 to 9,000 people stacked up, sold out seats. So that's something that's probably exciting to play in front of.
Awesome. We're going to switch gears to kind of you guys personally. Get 2 quick questions on this, and then we'll kind of switch to some social justice topics, and then we'll go to some fun rounds and then ask questions from the Zoom room. So the two-part question for you guys as individuals is just, I know everyone here is super humble, but in your own way, what would you say is one thing that you bring great value to the program that you're in, other than just recruiting? Sometimes we get labeled as just being recruiters. So speak on one thing that you bring to the table that you would say that it brings great value to your program other than just recruiting. And then secondly, what's one bit of advice you would give to yourself if you were starting your career over again? What's something you would say to your younger self?
I'll start it. Most of us, are ex-players. I think, bringing a level of realism and not so much just walk it, but actually have, talked it. I mean, excuse me, not just talking it, but actually walking it. And I think that level of realism helps. I think growing into younger men, we're all, got our youth for the most part. I think that seeing guys that have actually had success, really helps, young men coming into their 18, 19, and 20-year-old, their formative years. I think, adding, as AB said earlier, just the spiritual aspect to it. That's something that I'm really, really high on, have always been. Father was a pastor, got multiple pastors in my family. Is just a part of who I am. And then the X's and O's, man. I mean, we've all played at a high level. You got to be a thinker and react quick in order, to be successful at any level, So I think that's something, that I bring. And some advice that I give to myself just starting out is, listen, just listen. We all get to a point where we all think we know, more than we actually do. And then you learn different ways and more effective ways to do things, and not necessarily something that you're in opposition to at the beginning, but it's easier. So I think just doing that and listening and being more of a person that soaks in information is always good. And it doesn't have to be within your staff. It can be, things like this. Man, I've enjoyed this so much, for the first hour or so, just talking to you guys and hopefully, learning more things from you and building with you. Man, I can't tell you how much that really lifts my morale.
I think something for me is and just because of the people I've been surrounded with, I'm always trying to bring ideas. I'm always trying to, anything I hear, whether it's basketball related or I see something on television, I read something, and I feel like we can mold it into our program, into something that's good for our program. I try to bring that to our head coach as much as I can. When I was at Stanford, my head coach there, who I have the utmost admiration for, Jared Hass, one of the best human beings I've ever been around. He always told me, your job is to bring me information. I was one of the support staff. Now I don't even remember my title there, but his thing was always bring me information and be able to have that information and a way for me to put it to use. So I'm just always thinking about stuff like that. As far as advice that I would give my younger self, just continue to be humble. That's one thing, always be humble. You can take every single experience you have and use it as a learning experience, whether it's good, bad, and different. Always use it as a learning experience. And the other thing is I write things down. I didn't start that until midway through my career. My last year there was on the Christian, but always keep notes on things that maybe made you feel a certain way, a philosophy, something like that. And I find myself often going back and trying to find those things. But when I started writing it down, like there's stuff I go back to from 4 years ago. There's something I went back to literally yesterday when I was trying to figure out a concept. And always write things down that you like and that you believe in.
I'm gonna jump in. I would say for me personally, and all of you guys have it, is experience. Being with my guy for 8 years, I'm like his second eye. So in all facets of the program, and I consider myself the connector, because when you really think about it, Everyone else on staff has been there for 2 years, 3 years. And sometimes even the freshmen, they don't know exactly how to communicate with the head coach at times. And even the guys on staff may not understand his moods or certain things he might go through and things of that nature. And being with him for 8 years, and similar to you guys, you know your guy. So when other staff members approach you about certain things, and you simply say, nah, I probably don't do it that way because such and such, just because you know how he would take it, or, is it the right time? And because timing is everything. And simply going for our guys, our players, they might not know how to approach a certain situation or how to ask. And having that experience with my guy, and all of you guys have the same experience as well, you know how to connect. So I would say the one thing that's really valuable is my experience, as similar to all you guys. And if I was when I was my younger self, and I go along the same route as Coach Crow, man, listen, you can't learn if you're always talking. And I was one of those guys in New York, always talking trash. And I didn't learn very much because I was always talking. And now, at this age, now humbled, got to listen. If you want to advance, tell these young guys, if you want to advance, less talking, more listening.
I think for me, man, it's kind of what Josten hit on, man, just being the player, man, then going from coach, man. So just being super relatable. A lot of the things that guys they want to do. All of us, man, we've been in a situation, and they probably can't tell you anything that you ain't been through, whether it's with life, whether it's with basketball or anything. Just being able to relate to every guy in the locker room, and just a lot of things they want for our playing career. I got it, whether it was like any type of accolades or winning a conference championship, and I'm blessed to be coaching the same conference that I played in. So just that relatable aspect of it, a lot having to offer. Still kind of, being a little bit younger. It's easy to relate to the guys, man, same generation. Just knowing what's going on, man, just helping everybody out. If I could tell myself something, it would be I think you guys kind of hit on it, man, is listening, just kind of just understanding, man, there's always room to grow. No matter how long you've been coaching, no matter how many people you've been around, no matter how many titles you didn't win, championships you didn't win, man, there's always room to grow and to better yourself, man. But that goes to what Brandon hit on too, man, is just remaining humble, man. So just the fact that no matter how long you've been doing this, I know how long you think you've been in the game, think you know as much, man, there's always room for you to grow and learn.
I think for me, obviously, is really, judging by my age is what has to be. I connect with younger guys. Like I always tell them, I'm less than 10 years from their age, so I know what they're going through. I know what they're seeing. I know what's impacting them, and I want to be as approachable as possible to them. But I also want to be somebody that is amongst my years, which I take pride in. And I want to be a guy that, who I work for, he doesn't feel like anything is too much for me or too small for me. Whether it's scouting, whether it's recruiting, whether it's development, whether it's, film work. I don't care what it is. I'm not somebody that wants to be a one-trick pony. I want to know about everything. I want to learn everything. And that's what I was able to do this past year. And ultimately, it's helped me become a real well-rounded coach. Because, again, I don't want to be thrown into a hole of just being a recruiter or just being a film guy, whatever the case may be. I just want to be a coach. And that's my biggest thing of what I want to do, impacting the program or what I've been able to do. And as far as my younger self, man, just always reminding myself every day, I wish I could have just, everything matters at the end of the day. Every facet of life, like everything matters. Nothing is not important. It matters how much attention to detail I'm putting into everything. It matters how much energy and effort and even love I'm putting into everything. If I care about anything, it's no reason that any day I should come in and not feel like doing it. Or I'm sorry, not feel like doing it. There's gonna be some days you not feel like doing it, but not going 100 at your job. Like that's just you're gonna have some days where you're just not as motivated as other days, but that's no excuse to be lackluster at anything. So, I wish I could have just constantly reminded myself every day that.
Yeah, a lot of fire, fellas. Appreciate that, man. It's easy to not keep in front of us or not keep insight in mind, just what we would tell our younger selves. And then I think just it's important for people to know there's more value to these roles that you guys play and that we play as assistants than just recruiting. So appreciate you guys opening up and sharing some of that. We're going to shift gears to a little bit of a heavy topic, but I think it's something that everybody feels very convicted about. I'm sad that Brandon can't be on the call for this part of it too, and the whole part, because he brings so much value, Coach Chambers. But again, he's showing love and respect to Coach Jazz out there in Dallas. But social justice, social injustice, equality, all the things that are going on in our country right now. Just kind of give an open mic, really, just to share any thoughts you have, anything you've done with your teams, anything you've done with your players, just any message that you want to spread to anyone listening or anyone watching the replay, just on that topic in general. So you can just kind of freestyle it. No true time limit on that one. Just kind of speak from your heart.
I won't go long with it, man. We recently just had a speaker, a good friend of mine who's a retired state trooper and a former detective. Coach and I and the staff came up with the idea to have him speak to our team, simply because just to give him different perspective from a Black man. We basically spoke about, obviously he gave his opinions, but he just pretty much gave some simple etiquettes on how to deal with the police. Because the one thing what I realized is the lens of our guys are totally different than how we see it. Every day they're going out thinking everything's okay in some instances. And it's easy to just hop in the car and just be you. Well, no, you can't just be you when you get in the car. There's appropriate ways that you have to, deal with the police. And so we had a speaker. He spoke with our guys for about an hour and just simply spoke to them about simple etiquettes on what to do. My thing would be for everyone and everyone on this panel is just educate your players. When I say educate, I mean give them some little bit of history that that they can come away with. Encourage them to go read more and educate themselves about the history. And I had to do that myself. Being a New York City kid, I've been pulled over many times, but I was taught at a young age to never pull out my license to memorize my 9-digit number in New York. So it's little things like that. So just educate them as into what they need to do and how to react. Because a lot of the things with our young men, they react. They react before they actually think. And in these type of situations, we don't need them to react. We need them to think. Because all we want to do is make them come home. And that's the main objective at the end of the day, have them come home to their families. So all I say is just educate, little documentaries, little readings, and obviously just shed the positivity to them as well.
I think that is outstanding. We've been trying to educate and talk. Growing up in Illinois, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was randomly pulled over. Luckily, I had a father who was very involved in the community, and I was semi-protected in the community because of that. He had to work directly with the police, with all of the inner city youths, and they saw him as a guy that they could go through and work with. And so I've been able to share some of that. Coach Taylor's been able to share his experiences, but I appreciate you saying what you did, because I've never thought of it of having someone from the force or someone that we know are comfortable with coming in and sharing their point of view with our guys. So I'm definitely going to steal that idea. But again, like you said, I don't have much more to say on it. Education is the biggest thing, and making sure our guys know, because we have a predominantly African-American team, but they come from all different walks of life, where some of them haven't faced it, haven't not knowingly faced it, where other ones it's been pretty brutal. And having them share their experiences with each other, we're bringing in 8 new guys, and I think that alone has really helped our guys connect with each other. But again, like you said, we just want them to come home safe. So the more that they can hear it, because right now the world has their attention. We have the world's attention, and we've got to make sure that we use that platform.
I'll jump in, man. I think that was great. And Brandon, I'm gonna steal that idea from you too, Serge. I'm just telling you, that was right on the money, man. But you know, I guess the triggering deal that set this thing on was, you know, George Floyd's. And you guys know I'm from Houston. And you know, my father had a church right there in 3rd Ward next to, you know, CUNY Homes, exactly where George Floyd is from. And man, that community is hurting. You know, this is an area, you know, where, you know, I got family members, I got people, you know, I grew up in, you know, some of these areas, and man, it hit home really hard, really had to pull away, you know, from the social media and all of that. I think it's been great for some people to have an outlet. But I'll say, you know, what Serge said was just getting your guys to really open up books and read and do their own research and have ideas and thoughts of their own, but to start and end those ideas and thoughts with prayer. And that's where I think we missed the mark, you know, with a lot of ideas that we do have, not taking anything away from anyone, but it's got to be through, you know, what God wants you to do and how he wants you to handle it. And, you know, along those lines, just making myself available, as we all do, but this is a little different. You know, this isn't a text message, man, this is, you know, multiple phone calls, getting guys' thoughts, helping them, you know, navigate and mature those thoughts into character. So, I mean, we've all been through, you know, some incidents here or there. It's become a little bit normal. And I don't have the answers in how to change that, but, you know, we can all, you know, tell these young men on how you can navigate through it, you know, without getting yourself in a pinch. So I'll pull out. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it, but I just wanted to say you got to start and end with prayer.
I agree, man. I think that's a great thing, man. We just kind of got our guys together, man, and just kind of had an open discussion, because yet a lot of things going on, but, you know, everybody's from different backgrounds, or everybody was raised different, and some people just don't know. They don't understand because they've never been able to talk to somebody or had the confidence to ask somebody who's been different from them. So just getting guys together, sitting them down, being able to trust, know what's going on in that locker room, because it happens in all aspects of life, to where, you know, people just don't know any better. I think prayer is the number one answer, man. But at the end of the day, I hope we all just realize that even though it's dealing with race and color and situations like that, man, the biggest thing that this is a heart issue, and the only person that can change your heart is God. So that's where the prayer comes in. It's not nothing going on with the color and that, man. Just the big picture, man. Just to understand, man, this is definitely a hard thing in what's going on in the world right now, and only one person that can change it, man. Like you say, man, it leads back to that prayer, man. Just getting the guys around each other and to understand, man, they can have these conversations with their teammates who are different, or with people who are different, or people out in the world who are different. Because I feel like this shed a lot of light to it, man. But conversations wouldn't been had, you know, it's not normal, and which it should be a normal thing, and we should be able to talk about this and understand what's going on and how certain people should feel about certain situations, man. So that's just my thing, man. But I think the biggest thing, man, I'm with you, man, is the prayer life for sure.
I think that the social injustice has been going on is sad. It's disgusting. It's just something that's hard to be a black man and wake up and have these feelings and feeling like a threat to society. Essentially, it's just not a way that I know God wants his children to live, you know. But with that being said, the one thing that I kind of preach all the time to guys that I'm around is that, you know, control what you can control, and perception is everything. You know what I mean? I'm big on that. I hate when people don't look me in the eye when I speak, especially young men. Like, I hate when young men don't know how to shake someone's hand. I hate when young men don't know how to say thank you or no thank you. Or I hate when young men don't know how to just properly greet people, and, you know, whether it's walking away or meeting somebody. I don't like when the worst thing about the kids now in our society is that they have this built up mindset of I don't care what people think of it, and essentially that's just something that I don't really like, because you should always care about how you're perceived and how you come off. So I don't want kids that they would be impacted by to use what's going on socially as an excuse. And so is it wrong? 100%. Do I agree with it? Not at all. Do I fear a little bit what's going on? For sure. But the last thing we can let them do is use it as an excuse and a crutch of why they're not doing something or why they're not meeting the standards of what a man should be in the world. Because being a black man is very serious. It's a lot of pride that comes with it. It's a lot of barriers to be broken. And who are you to be a man that says, I don't want to do that because it's too hard. And I think that, a policeman may attack me for it. That's not something that we should do. Part of fighting back is trying to socially prove that you are more. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I have a voice. I'm prideful. I care about my perception. I value how people look at me. It's the same thing I correlated with basketball. One of my former players, I'm like, he was like, yeah, man, I went into this store and this man was looking at me crazy. And I was there. I was on the bus when he was going in. I was like, you talking about you went in there with your hood on and your pants were sagging a little bit? He was like, yeah. And he was looking at me crazy. I was like, well, I mean, you can't tell me you the leading scorer in the country and I see or you the best scorer in the country and I see you average 2 points per game. He was like, what you mean? You built your perception. If you walk in like that, it doesn't matter whether you were black or white in that instance, he's gonna think something bad is about that, or he's wrong, or he's capable of doing something crazy. It's just a perception that you can't be mad at people for perceiving you a certain way. And so in order to fight back and speak on social injustice, we got to help these young dudes understand that I have to worry about my perception on an everyday basis. And whether it's right or wrong, I have to care about how I am looked at in society.
Yeah, all really powerful points. Obviously a topic we could go on for a whole 2-hour Zoom on its own, but I appreciate you guys opening up on that and speaking some real because it's needed. A couple quick thoughts I had, just the education part is important. Listening, learning, not feeling like we have the answers on this either. No matter what side you're on. Because I think the sharing the perspective, I use Drew Brees as a great example, but Drew Brees thought it was a flag issue. And he was so proud, not proud, but he was so bold in saying so. But then he got educated. He learned, he listened, he talked to his teammates. He got a different perspective. And he realized it's not a flag issue. It never was a flag issue. And then he came out and went against, which I think is a big part of the conversation as a white man, to go against another white man who he knows like, hey, man, I was wrong. I'm telling you, this is what it is now. It takes all of us, but it starts with that conversation and listening. I think definitely the heart, Bostic, you hit it on the head. I listened to Stephen Furtick and John Gray have a conversation about this at a church service. And it was really powerful. And John Gray said the same thing. This is a heart issue. Obviously, there's systematic things. There's things that we have to that will take a lot of layers to break down. But the general, what can we control right now is starts at the heart, and it just starts with love. Loving people, having a loving example that we embody with our players by listening. And it's not just black players, but white players, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. But starting with love, talking about love, having an open ear to listen to those guys vent about what they need to vent about, I think is important. A couple other things I just wrote down is like, we all have a circle of influence, so we have to start there. Having the difficult conversations, having the challenging, uncomfortable conversations, because I think somebody else said this. I think, Brandon, you may have said it, but right now we have an opportunity. I mean, it's wide open. It's the most open time to have this conversation and most acceptable time to have this conversation. So we got to start having more of them and not feeling uncomfortable and fighting that, what we feel. I think we have the greatest amount of hope, although there is fear, Rod, like you said, there's the greatest amount of hope for better. So I think that's really important. And one part I picked up from a sermon too that I think is really important, or two parts. I think we have to make sure that we still are led by our emotions, but we're not emotional. Kind of like Serge was saying with being pulled over. Like we can't be emotional sometimes and reactive in these situations because whether it's in conversation, because then we lose credibility and we don't get the purpose that we wanted, or if it's with a situation with a police officer or with anybody, we just want to do our best to not be as emotional because that can lead to things that distract from the point of what we're trying to do. And then the second thing is, I heard a really good sermon. They talked about offenses are automatically going to happen. It's in the Bible. It's going to happen. You're going to have offenses against you. But to be offended is actually a choice. And I think that's the part where sometimes we have to take the time to know that even though this person did something offensive, like I don't have to be offended by it. I have a choice to choose, you know what, with the more maturity that we can continue to develop, all of us, we can not be offended by things, even though they're offensive, because of our maturity, and then take the time again to have conversations. So I appreciate you guys diving in that heavy topic. We'll lighten it up and kind of open it up for questions in just a second. But last two questions would be, number one, what is your all-time NBA starting five? Okay. You can have a six-man if you need to, but all-time starting five. And then after you answer that, what do you want your legacy to be as a coach?
I can go by starting.
We'll make the young fella go first since he's always going last.
I'll make my starting five. So, gotta go Magic at the point. You know, I gotta go Kobe at the two, just because I'm a Kobe guy. I probably like to go Scottie Pippen at the three. I'd like to go Kevin Garnett at the four, and then at the five, man, I hate five men, bro. I think I probably would go. Actually, you know what? Take that back. I'll put KG at the five, and I'd like to have Charles Barkley at the four.
You can have a six man, so you can get your six man.
I can get a six man.
Get a six man, and then tell us your legacy, what you want your legacy to be, and then we'll pass the mic.
Ooh, my six man. My six man would be Reggie Miller. I don't know why I always like Reggie Miller, but I think just a tall, lanky bucket dude that can shoot the ball. That's kind of crazy. I like his energy he brings too. So that's a good one for me. But
I got a question. My computer was kind of going in and out. Did you? Say
it again.
My computer was going in and out, and I don't know if you had said Mike first, but like, did you say Mike or did you not?
Nah.
This is my team. This is starting.
This
is my team. What we talking about? Hey, listen, man. Listen, I know the last dance just came on, man. Don't get too caught up, man. I love Mike. I love
baby. Man,
he's a baby. He won't know. You hear me? I'm saying, don't want me to like y'all's guy. Let me like my guy. Anyway, my legacy that I'd like to leave, man. Honestly, I'd like to be a guy that was known for never asking for anything, but you, just who you are. I've never, I think I've been able to do some really good things in my young coaching career, and I've never had to like slide the rug from anybody. I've never had to treat anybody bad or do anything dirty in order to get here. I felt like I got here from being true to who I am and being a trustworthy, honest guy. I've never been shady. Brian, he's known me since I was literally just getting into this thing, and I've never been somebody that wanted anything for helping these young dudes. I really just wanted to do it out the kindness of my heart and just wanted to be something for them, like I said that I would want to be. So I just wanted to be known for somebody that was real and that was always caring about what these guys are going to meet in their life and just want them to do good things. So that's about it for me.
Awesome.
I guess my 5, I'm going to say at the point, Magic. On the wings, Jordan, Kobe. At the 4, Bron. 5, it doesn't matter, Kareem or Shaq. And then my 6th man, it might be a little weird, but Klay Thompson. I think he is the best, the most talented player ever to sacrifice himself the way he does. Like, I just don't feel like anybody as talented as him has ever sacrificed and put himself in that role. And he's an elite level shooter. But I think with that lineup, you got 4 guys that can handle, pass, make decisions. You don't have great shooting, and that's another reason I had Klay. But then you got a dominant big man, and you got probably the 2 most competitive players of all time with that group. So I'm going to take my chances with them. Then defensively, you can switch anything.
Great break.
Y'all didn't say we was making 2K
breakdown,
created
Coach.
teams. Y'all didn't say we were making 2K created teams, man. That's too many Chiefs on that team. Y'all didn't say that.
I like the innovation and the breakdown as to why. I love it.
As far as my legacy, man, I just want to be known as someone who had a small impact on changing a lot of lives, and helping people get to where they want to be, or helping people realize where they actually want to be. Not the I want to be in the league, I want to do this, but what do I want to do with my life, and how can I be bigger than myself? Helping people get to that journey. Yeah.
And I got to jump in front of Antonio because I know he's gonna say something I'm gonna say. Let me jump in.
Old Southland rivalry still there a little bit. I see.
Yeah. I sent they'd be something on his hip with the cell phone probably about a month or 2 ago. Had it last. But I go with my team, man. I'm gonna go real easy. It's probably gonna be chalk at the point, Magic at the 2, Jordan. At the 3, LeBron. At the 4, man, I can't believe you guys are sleeping on Tim Duncan, man. I don't know what y'all doing on that one. I'm going with Duncan at the 4, and then at the 5, I'm repping for the home team. I'm going Hakeem Olajuwon. And then off the bench, I'm gonna go ahead and go with probably an unorthodox pick. Got hurt, but he's a personal favorite, and I'm going with Penny Hardaway. He can cover a lot of ground, subbing in for any of those guys. And then just, as far as, my legacy as a coach, man, I want to be a person who was a vessel for God, man, and help these young men get their lives in order more so than anything else, because it affects so many different people. And like Brandon said a couple different times, it's impact. I think by doing that, man, you impact not only the young man, but his family and his kids and their friends and their cousins and so on and so forth. And I think that's, the most important thing. And obviously there are other things you want to be as far as, being humble and being a friend or a bigger brother or uncle to some of these young men, but just being a vessel for God.
Josten, I respect that Penny pick, man. I'm all Penny always, man.
Oh, man.
That's my dude.
Yeah.
Is Penny on your squad, Brandon?
Huh? Nah, he ain't on my squad, but I got a lot of love.
You can't have both ways, man.
Okay. He's the 7th man. I got you.
You're on the second page, Brian.
All-time starting 5, man. It's crazy. I'm put LeBron at the point. Wings has definitely got to be Kobe and Jordan. I'm really surprised. I got to put KD at the 4. Nobody said KD yet. It really surprised me. My 5 man. If I got to create a team, I'm going Giannis at the 5. Talking about everything being versatile, man, it's crazy. And then one of my favorite players, man, I really didn't have a good career. Had a good career, man, but injuries, man. My 6th man is Brandon Roy off top. Big fan of his game, everything, man. That's why I was watching my very first player. I fell in love with, man. But the thing I want to know for his coaching, man, is same thing Josten said, man. I want to lead young men to the gospel. If I can have a young man open up some scripture, man, say he devoted his life to Christ, man, just because he's seen faith in any situation, man. That's a win in my book, man. At the end of the day, man. So just to be that vessel. let God pour into me, and I can just pour into other people.
Hey, Tom, if we ain't practice zone all year, we zoning your team the entire game. The entire game.
You guys will be shocked with my 5, man. I took a little different twist. It'll be Zeke at the point, MJ at the 2, Kobe at the 3, Bron at the 4, Shaq at the 5. And my 6th man, I kid you not, like, he's my guy because he's a guy everybody needs. It was either between Pat Beverly and Metta World Peace. I went with Metta World Peace, but I just need a guy. I need a guy in that stable that can do. I mean, MJ is MJ, but you just need a guy that's gonna disrupt everything. I know those two guys.
You gotta have a New York guy. That's what it is. You gotta have a New York.
Well, you gonna call me out like that, B? That's how you feeling? That's how you feeling, man? But no, that's my 5, man. And as far as the legacy goes, really haven't thought about that much, to be really honest with you. But one thing I do want everyone to know, and parents and everyone that come across, is that I care, like, point blank, period. I don't have a legacy, no way I want to leave it. I just want people to know, as a person, one-on-one, I care about all the guys that I've coached, and I stay in touch with all the guys that I've coached, and it's just real. So, and I think somebody mentioned it the other day, not having a 4-year relationship, but a 40-year relationship, and I honestly feel that's what I have with everyone that I've came across and coached.
No, that's awesome, fellas. Awesome. Job well done by everybody. We'll open it up for questions, but we got one special guest who happened to make it on the Zoom. We got Coach Chambers on the line. So, Coach, we'll open up. We just asked the question, and I know you're jumping in late. I know you've been doing some great paying respects to Jazzy Hartwell. Hope you're driving safe. But the question was, what's your starting 5 of all time plus 6 man? And then what do you want your legacy to be? And then after that, you can kind of include any thoughts of the day or whatever else you want to say, and then we'll open up for everybody to questions.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Coach.
All
We
right,
already bragged
I'm
about
driving
you.
and zooming.
We already bragged about you a lot, Coach, just so you know.
I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate you having me on. So the first question was all-time starting 5. Is that was the first one in the maybe 6 man?
Plus 6 man.
Okay. Well, I think you have to go Michael Jordan. I think you have to go Kobe Bryant. I think the most dominant player in NBA history has been Shaquille O'Neal. I'll go positionless because that's the new wave. So I'm not going to go by position. But I'll probably go shoot. So what's that? 3 guys. I'll go with the home state kid, the problem. Allen Iverson. I'll go with him. And I heard someone say Giannis, but I mean, I don't know how you choose someone that hasn't done anything yet.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah, sorry, sir. Was that Serge? Was that Serge?
Nah, that wasn't me. But I see you coming at my neck already.
That wasn't me. Coming straight to you.
Honest, I thought it was you. That's why I said it. To be honest, that's why I said it. You're my guy. No, I'll probably go with KD, and LeBron. I think that's 6 right there. So I don't know. I don't know where you put him. I like AI. He's from Virginia. I'm from Virginia. So obviously,
Coach,
the
who comes off the
kid,
bench? That's the real question, though. Who comes off
Georgetown.
the bench? I know you got positionless going. I know you're on the new wave.
You gotta probably put AI off the bench.
He ain't coming off the bench, Coach. He quitting. He ain't doing that.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think he has any rings, and those other guys have rings.
I love it.
So, well, first off, sorry I'm late, guys. So I don't know what's been talked about or what's been discussed, but I appreciate obviously this opportunity, and I have the utmost respect for you, Brian. And there's some of these guys on the call that I know, and you know, buddies of mine through the 11 years I've been in coaching. So just the fact that I'm included in this group is big time. Now, you know, I just kind of, my thoughts on today. I mean, shit, today was a impactful day for me, because you talk about a guy in Jazzy that, you know, our kid Jet, you know, that's his guy. He actually lives with him. And, you know, to see a guy 2-3 months ago or whenever, you know, at the end of our season, who was in our gym at practice, watching us practice, and you're chopping it up with him and talking about life, and he's talking about his girls. And then, you know, just not too long ago, now you fast forward 3 months, 4 months, and now you're sitting there and you're at his visitation. You know, it's just crazy, man. It just puts life in perspective. And I don't know, man, I was just with our head coach, and we're talking about all the social injustices and all the stuff that's going on in the world. And it's just crazy, man. Life is too short. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much wealth you accumulate. It doesn't matter how much fame you get, how much fortune, you know, you acquire. And at the end of the day, we all go to the same place. And I guess my point to saying all that is, I'm just glad that I'm in a group that's having impact and creating impact for people, because life's too damn short, man. And you never know when your time is coming. I appreciate you guys. I don't know what's been talked about or if there was any other questions.
You're good. We'll come right back to you. Rod C, you still on, or you out? You can get some closing words real quick, Rod C. We know you got to run.
Yeah, my bad. I just want to tell everybody, man. I'll turn my video on real quick. Tell everybody, man, thanks for having me. It was good meeting a lot of you guys, man. I'll leave my number down here for you guys. If anybody wants to, you know, call me, connect, I'd love to sit up, talk shop with you, get to know some of you guys. Obviously, I'm always trying to know other guys that are younger in the business and just network as much as I can. But I really appreciate all of you guys, man. I wish y'all the best of luck. Hope we can see each other down the road at some capacity or at some point. And again, man, like, God bless. I hope good things out of all you guys, for real.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, Rod. I'll kind of say this before we won't close. We'll keep it going. But one of my biggest reasons why I wanted to do this is because I think enough light gets shined on guys that are sometimes humble. That are humble. Sometimes those guys don't get the light shined on them, and then just guys that are making an impact. You know, I think sometimes we get caught up in the logos on shirts, and we don't do enough. I think this COVID-19, one thing that I would say I'll take with me is just we have to be great teammates as coaches. Although we're competitors, like, we're teammates. We're in a family. We're in a fraternity, and we sometimes don't do enough to share, connect, and encourage and just help, man, and just serve each other. So I wanted to have an opportunity to serve some of the most selfless guys that I know that are impactful in this business. So appreciate you guys all coming on. Rob, we'll let you go. Have a great evening, and we'll stay in touch, of course, as always. And I'll send you the link to this.
As far as my legacy, and also too, I know other guys have to go, and I'm just now jumping on. But if anyone wants to stay on, or anyone that's listening, I'm you know, I got the rest of my night. So, but my legacy for me has always been, I'm chasing my dad. My dad died 10 years ago from ALS, and you know, he was a military guy for 27 years and devoted his entire life to serving the country and just trying to make this world a better place. And his philosophy was lead from the front. And so for me, the last 10, 11 years of my career have just been chasing him and trying to be him, really, to be honest. And by that, you know, lead from the front and just make him proud. And hopefully at the end of this thing, I'll be able to say that, you know, I exhausted it all, and I emptied my bucket every day. And, you know, I would have made him proud if he was still here. But that's really, you know, the legacy I want to leave, just impact people and try to leave a mark on the world.
That's awesome, man. Awesome, B. Well, let's open up for questions. Feel free to include Coach Chambers in the questions too, but let's let's have some fun and let the audience be involved as far as interacting with these guys.
I got a question. It's kind of a long-winded one a little bit, but
you don't mind, just say your name and where you're from. Sorry.
Yep, sure. My name is Malik Wildermuth. I'm kind of in between jobs right now. I was at Millikan University, it's Division III in Illinois, but this kind of background, I'm from Bloomington, Illinois. I grew up, played for Brandon Dunston on AAU a little bit. He's kind of a person. It's the reason why I'm, trying to do what I'm trying to do. But my question is, as a young coach, I'm not trying to get pigeonholed into, the recruiter, just a relationship type guy, even though I know, that's a big part of the job. Like, obviously, you got to recruit, you got to be able to have relationships. So my kind of overall question is just how have you guys kind of navigated that as you have, kind of went up the ladder and moved from your different places and jobs from a player to where you guys are now, showing the, the basketball side as well, and not just, you can connect with these guys and get them on your teams?
Great question. Let's let everybody answer real quick.
I would probably say you got to get in how you could get in. And if it's recruiting, then you get in that way. But then as you recruiting and bringing value that way, you just show what other areas that you're good in. Always have answers. So as you can see, your boss might be trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to guard this ball screen, this open ball screen, and the weak side exchange, and he doesn't have an answer for it. Be the problem solver, and then be in early, and then hey, coach, this is what I got, blah blah blah. Always have a solution. Be the answer. But to get in, you got to get in first, and then once you get in, that's how you could kind of navigate how you want to change your role to be.
I agree with that completely. Malik, it's always good seeing you. Been a little bit. But yeah, I say the same thing. You got to get in where you get in, but then you got to, first you got to dominate your job, and then whatever your role is, and then you can grow it from there. Like for me, when I first got to Stanford, my only job was to create highlight videos, do our tapes. That was it. And then organize our recruiting. So I did that, and I did that to the best of my abilities and all the little things that went with it. But there was a point where I was like, hey, I've been on the floor for 3 years, granted at the NAI level, but I've done this stuff. I've done the same stuff they're doing. So I took it upon myself after I was getting my duties done to do a scouting report for every game and give it to whatever assistant had the scout and just say, hey, here's some information. If you want it, take it. If not, don't worry about it. But I wanted them to know that I'm capable of doing it. And I know no matter what, I wasn't going to get the recognition for it. But they knew that I had the initiative, the drive, and the capability of doing it. And from there, that led to them asking me to do certain things with their scouts and getting me more involved in game planning and things like that. So first, I think you got to dominate your role. Then you got to be competent in what you do, and you can't worry about getting the credit for it right away, because if you're doing things the right way and you're providing value, it's going to go noticed.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
You got one? You got one, Josten?
No, only thing I was going to add was you absolutely have to dominate, what your, job title is, whatever your expectations are for your coach. That's really important. And then the other part, that you want to prove yourself in, you got to continue to work on that. I'm kind of just piecing together some things and what Serge and Brandon said, but you got to continue to work on that, because you'll never know how good you really are at it until you're really responsible for that. So suggesting information, like Brandon said, and continuing to hone that craft is just as important to having that responsibility. You got to be good at it when you get it anyway.
Yep. B. Chambers, what would you say to that?
So a couple things, because I was a D3 guy too. So I have a lot of respect for Division III coaches and small college basketball, because you have to, as you know, you have to wear a lot of hats. You're the academic person, you're the head recruiter, you're the scout guy, you're doing the laundry, you're doing so many different things. What I would say is, and I'd probably say in a different way, just kind of repackage it, is you have to bloom where you're planted. Just because you're a Division III guy, and just because you might have a label of maybe being a player development guy or recruiter or an X's and O's guy, that doesn't mean that you can't evolve in those areas. I think in our world today, like in doing these calls, I've told so many people, like, you have to be elite at everything. You can't just be good at one different thing. Just because the information that we as coaches can share and give, and it's so easily accessible, you know. And then the other thing too is comparison is the thief of joy. So don't compare your journey. Like, you might be looking at other people and be like, man, like, I know I'm better than this guy, but everyone thinks I'm this, you know, player development guy. And I know I can really coach, or I know I can, really recruit, you know. Just, you know, it's like the stone cutter's creed, the pound the rock. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but the stone cutter, he'll sit there and pound the rock 100 times and he doesn't know which one's going to break the stone. You just got to keep hammering it at it every day and just trying to be elite in those areas that you're good at. And then the areas that you're not so good at, just keep trying to get better, just 1% better every day. And I mean, I'm a living testament of it. You know, I went from VCU as a student manager in the Final Four to the next year I was in Dallas, Pennsylvania. That's population 1,500 people. And I had to, you know, there was not a single rung on the ladder that I could skip to get to where I'm at. And to be honest, like, I wish I was more present during those times, because the times that I had to really reevaluate what I needed to work on and what areas I needed to improve, I wish I was more present during that time, just so I had, you know, a little bit more appreciation. So anyways, I know that was a lot, but same thing that those guys are saying, I would just say, just continue hammering away, man. And eventually that stone's going to crack, and you know, you might be labeled as something right now, but that doesn't mean you can't evolve and change.
Sure. Awesome. I appreciate it. And Dunstan, I'll hit you up soon, man. We can, catch up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's keep the questions rolling. Bostic, we'll let you lead the next answer. Bostic, we'll let you lead first. Whoever has the next question, go ahead.
I have a question.
Lester, from Lester Stewart from Casper College. As a coach, like, you guys have got to the D1 level, what would you say is your unique skill, and how do you use it to your advantage or leverage it in your current job?
For me personally, I think my unique skill has been able to keep my composure no matter what. Through good, through bad, no matter what it is, man, continue to stay level-headed, man. It's just, I'm able to think more straight, think more clear that way. And that's just for me personally, man. So no matter the times, I guess, would be, man, just being patient and just understanding the grind, and know that I understand that trials and tribulations gonna come. Whether it's with my job or with life in general, I just got to stay grounded, stay humble, just continue to be myself. Continue to work hard no matter what through the situation, stay faithful to who I am and to the Lord, man. And that's just pretty much it.
I guess for me, my skill, I guess, would be is relationships. And Lester, we've talked about this in the past, but my dream was never to be a Division I coach. I just wanted to coach at any level. And through relationships, I've gotten opportunities. I think I've been lucky. But at the same time, I do think I planted relationships along the way. And I would tell anybody, don't worry about the level, worry about aligning yourself with people with the same values as you. And then from there, whatever's supposed to happen is gonna happen. I understand climbing up and doing that stuff and getting the money and all that stuff, but I think it's all empty if you're not working with people who are aligned in the same spiritual or same value alignment that you have.
Let's take let's add B Chambers in that, just because he hasn't been here, so we'll keep including him, and then we'll go next question. We'll go 3 guys answer for each question just to keep it moving.
Yeah, well, and that's why Dunstan's my guy. So I would say the exact same thing for me. I can't stress enough. Like, I was actually asked this the other day by a student manager at Indiana. He said, same question, what are your strengths? And I just said 2 things. I said relationships and work ethic. I know I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I know that, I barely passed the SATs, and that gives you enough about me. That's a joke, by the way, guys. I know you don't pass the SATs, but for me, I just know I'll outwork you. I may not know how to do it, or I may not be good at it at first, but I can just outwork you. And that's honestly how I've made a living. The best advice I've ever been given in coaching was by Dr. Smart. my first year coaching Division III, I just left VCU. I could not get a single kid on campus, and it's a Division III school, costs $40,000 a year to go to, small private school, like I said, in Pennsylvania. And I called Shaka, and I'm just like, Coach, I have no idea what I'm doing. And he said, don't worry about getting it, just build relationships. And so for me, I've kind of hung my hat on that with everything in life. And if I could give myself advice to go back and do it again, I would be 10 times more aggressive building a relationship and trying to foster those relationships. You know, like, people are the king of networking. There's like this negative connotation because people are so aggressive in networking, but it's like, if I was more aggressive in it and I was actually connecting, I think I would have expedited my career process. And I still think I did a great job, but I would just be a shark with it. So again, I'm kind of regurgitating what Dunson said, but definitely the relationship side of things, and then the work ethic. You know, it's, if you go to the Final Four, there's 10,000 guys like me, 5'11" white guys that were a student manager somewhere. So how am I going to differentiate myself? What's the, you know, competitive advantage for hiring a guy like me? And, you know, and so I hung my hat on those two things.
And I know we want to keep it moving, but I got to say this about Brandon Chambers. We've only known each other for 2 years now, but I will say, when he says relationships, he means true relationships. Like, Brandon is the type of guy where if I call him and I ask him for something, I say, hey, can you help me out? He's not going to say, what do you need? He's just going to say yes. And that's the type of relationship that he builds. So I don't want to get that confused with networking, because I think there's two different things.
Yeah, I think I'll say this about B. Chambers again. He's getting some extra flowers since he wasn't on the 2-hour prior.
Yeah, shit. Am I paying for this, or what are we doing here?
Nah, man, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so we connected. I was able to get on the Zoom that he was part of leading, and we connected afterwards. And really, I was just reaching out to him to tell him, hey, appreciate the opportunity to jump on. Did a great job. Next thing you know, we're talking for an hour and a half. And the level of, I think, like Brandon Dunson said, it's not just about networking, just to say, hey, here's my number, or hey, how are you doing? It's, you know, there's a level of sincerity that comes with connecting that is known. You know, I think people talk about all the time, real recognize real. And I think the fact that, you know, Brandon has come from such a place of sincerity. We actually talked about social justice, and it was our first real conversation, you know. So for the fact that we went to so much depth the first time we ever talked, said a lot about him. And then also just, again, the sincerity and the genuine nature of the connection, I think, has something to do with the quality. It's not just quantity, but quality is really important. I think that's something that Chambers takes a lot of pride in. Mike, what you got for it?
Man.
Yep.
So I don't know if I should even say it anymore, because I don't know if Brandon's gonna, you know, just blow up after this call or whatnot. But
I spent the Final Four with you, man. I don't know who's on this call, but I was at a I think a Whataburger at 3 a.m. with you and my fiance. So I got some dirt on you too.
That's true, but I'm not giving dirt. I'm gonna bury that one. So, but no, what I wanted to say is, and Coach Dunson, this goes for you too, because you mentioned you want to be known for making an impact. You two were one of the first two that I reached out to when I was a Division III volunteer assistant in my second year at it. And the impact you both have had on me has been exponential, just in what you said to some random, you know, Division III volunteer assistant about fostering those genuine relationships. Because, and I mentioned this when we talked, is like, I don't want to, there's so many connotations out there of guys that just want to shake a bunch of hands and say they know this and that, and they think it's going to help them, you know, as a young coach. But at the end of the day, like, a lot of us do know each other. And when you start saying, you know, this guy or you know that guy, but you don't, like, that can come back to hurt you. So I want to say to both of you, I appreciate exponentially the advice you gave me way back when, but to also reiterate what he's saying is make sure like you do develop those genuine relationships and that you're in it for the right reasons and not just to try to get that next job, because it's one of those things it's gonna have to bloom. Like it's not just gonna happen, I mean, theoretically right away. Like the relationships are important and the genuinity of it is the really important part of it. Not just knowing a bunch of dudes, but like knowing like guys that you can call and talk more than just basketball with.
Appreciate that, Mike.
I got a question, if I can.
Yeah, please, Sean.
Yeah, my name's Sean McGee. Serge knows me very well. Just graduated from Marist, being a manager there for the past 3 years. My question, for all the coaches, but specifically kind of Coach Chambers, being a manager, being so young, I'm 21. What's some of the things that you can do to stand out more in applying to coaching jobs and things like that?
All right, so I'm going to preach because I know this is a tough time for getting jobs, and I've talked to probably 4 or 5 guys who are in similar situations. Here's what I would tell you. You have to provide so much value right now for free. You have to give. And I'll tell you right now, the number one thing people love giving, more so now than ever, is their advice. So I would reach out to as many people as you can. I would become friends with guys like Serge because I know how connected he is and I know how good he is, and really utilize his network and try to connect with people within his network, but then ask for advice. The worst thing you can do is reach out and the first thing you do is, well, hey coach, do you have a GA position or do you know of anything? Like no one's going to hire you in that regard. What I would do if I were you is I would give. And then you'll see doors opening up because you're so genuine and because you're authentic with it. So then it's like, okay, that's just coaches speak. So like, what are examples? So I told one kid, I just said, hey, look, he just got laid off. He actually works with BD at Fullerton a little bit. His name's Chase Sanchez. He did some video stuff for us. He was working for a minor league baseball team, and he's like, hey, look, I just kind of want to get into, the college basketball world. And so I kind of gave him that advice. And he literally reached out to hundreds of programs across the country and just said, hey, look, I do videos, I do graphic design, whatever I can do to help you guys out. It's totally free. I'm on top of my stuff and this, that, and the other. Well, I just got a call literally today from Matt Soria at San Diego State. And they're like, dude, where did this guy come from? And they're thinking about trying to bring him on as a GA. And so my advice to you is, if like tangible advice, if you do Photoshop or if you, I don't know, somehow can go out and see players right now. I don't know what tournaments are going on. If you have any sort of, I don't know, I'm a big reader. So like I read a lot of articles, I send it out, hey, or podcasts, hey, thought you might enjoy listening to this, and just keep giving. You'll notice over time that builds a certain reputation for yourself, and then doors will open because of that. So I would just say give. It's so important now, and don't expect anything. And then eventually that helping hand will be there for you when you need it.
Thanks, Coach.
Great answer.
Coach, can I just piggy?
Yeah, please.
Sean was really good. He was one of the gentlemen. I didn't even know he was on here. He's a guy that my head coach would bounce things off of because he trusted his opinion. And he was in touch with the players, and not to the point where he's crossing the line or playing both sides, but he was very valuable to us. And unfortunately, we didn't have anything for him. But he works. He's a grinder. He gets it. So that's your endorsement, my man. I take the fee later.
He's just saying nice things because I got a lot of dirt on him too.
Yeah, I like it, Sean. Sean, I would just say keep finding ways to provide value. It sounds like you added value to them, so keep finding ways to add value, even when you don't have a job, like Brandon Chambers is saying, and then just keep finding ways to connect, because I think sometimes people don't know what they don't know. You're not inside in mind. It's hard for them to help you. So obviously we all have networks of people that we know are value, so let those people do some, advocating for you, I would say. We do have a pretty impactful, really high-level coach on the phone. I don't know if he's just listening. I don't know if he can actually speak, but if Coach Gray, if you can speak at all, if you can just give any words of wisdom, comments, questions, anything, I know you bring so much value to what you do and how you do it. If you could, that would be tremendous for all of us. We'll give him a second. He may be plugged in. He may not be. All right, we'll come back. Hopefully he comes back to us, and then.
Can I say one thing on that?
Yeah, please.
And this is more on the opposite side. I've seen this happen so many times with guys, but when you're in a position to try to help somebody, like I'll never forget. I use Mike as an example for a lot of people that ask me about it, and he literally just went and cold called hundreds of people. And I remember the advice when I talked to him, I was just the operations guy or support staff guy at Stanford at the time. And I remember giving him 2 or 3 pieces of advice, and literally he implemented them like that. And he was doing them, he got to work at them. But I say that to say, like, when you're in an opportunity to give someone like advice, do it. Like, we all get those emails, we all get people find our numbers and different things. All they want is a little bit of word of encouragement. And I've been in that situation before. So I just encourage anyone who has, who's been in that position, or if you're blessed enough to be in that position, make sure that you reach out and make sure that you answer them, and don't just, I know we're all busy, but if we're truly about growth and helping people get better, that's a major way I think we can do it. And you look at Mike now, he's been killing it at South Alabama. He went from a volunteer D3 assistant to working for one of the best guys and one of the toughest guys in the business, but one of the best guys in the business. And it takes a lot to impress Richie, and he's impressed the hell out of Richie. So just
well said, B. I definitely think Dwayne Broussard said this on Coach's Corner a few weeks back, but he talked about his legacy being an infinite giver. And I think that's a great way to make sure that, you're just sowing the seeds. When you sow the seeds and you're giving for your heart and for the right reasons, it always comes back to you. So great point. And I think sometimes when we get busy in our lives and in our coaching careers, that we don't reach back to those people who are still looking for help. So definitely stay connected to that too.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that too, it's like Kevin Sutton is a mentor of mine. He talks about living trophies all the time. So we get so caught up in banners and rings and wins, and I get it because it's very surface level and that's how we're judged in this business. But Kevin Sutton has a great philosophy with living trophies. Like, what we leave behind, that's really our legacy, is the guys that we impact, and shit, they might not even go into coaching, The other thing too is, like, one of my favorite quotes is it's actually a phrase, but it's standing on the shoulders of giants. And Sir Isaac Newton said it. It basically is, throughout history, there's been all of these philosophers, scientists, whatever it might be, and they've continued to grow science and this belief system of science to what it is, because they've used the thousands of years of the past to help get to where they're at. And so you apply that to your career. Like, if you ever have the chance to become a giant, always help out that guy to get to the next spot. Because again, it's back to Coach Sutton's point with the living trophies. I mean, that's really what it's about.
Actually, one of my favorite quotes too, B. Chambers.
That's because we're two great minds. We think alike.
Great stuff. So we got Coach Gray back. Just wanted to get him to add any comments, questions, thoughts, anything from just such a high level coach himself. Definitely a guy who I believe will be a Division I head coach in his time as I'm getting to know him. But his reputation kind of speaks for himself. So I'd love, as a veteran coach and just a coach who took the time to join us in this, to share some words or share a question or anything you have.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we were just saying, if you can add any questions, comments, anything you wanted to share. Again, we know you have such a decorated career already and on your way to being a head coach yourself. So just wanted to get some feedback from the OG.
Shit, nobody gonna give me a job because I'm not a CEO. I'm a basketball coach. I've never got to see these kids. I can't, in good conscience, see these young guys as property. And that's what screwed me up in this business. Like when you talk about being a CEO, when I think CEO, I think business. I think, hey, this is something I gotta move. And I tried for a few years when I was growing up in this business, and for whatever reason, I just can't wrap my mind around, like, it gotta be about these kids, it gotta be about basketball. So I'm not getting the job. I'm gonna be a freaking assistant for the next 10 years, and they're gonna run my ass out of it when I get too fat and slow to do it. So, and I'm fine with it. I accepted that, and it's all good. But like your panel has been phenomenal. I've been sitting here listening the whole while, and like the one thing, and like some of these guys on the Zoom may know, like one of my biggest things has always been like I've always tried to give back to the guys behind me. The guys that know me really well knows that one of my biggest flaws, one of my biggest things I struggle with as a coach that's been doing it now for 20 years is that my generation of coaches got super selfish. We didn't reach back behind us much because they started throwing money in our face. And one thing I really tried to do is really try to reach back the last few years. And I've always been good with the guys in my immediate circle, while I haven't done as good a job with the guys that I don't really know. So the guys that you have speaking, I really enjoy listening to them talk because all of them seem like really, really, really good dudes. And that's what I think this thing is about. Like the more good people we keep in this business, the more basketball people we keep in this business. Even the word business itself, I think is foolish. So like when I first got in the business, we called it the game. Like it was the game then. It was like, hey, I'm trying to get into the game. And now for whatever reason, it become the business. So I really appreciate you putting this together. I always like to learn. I like to listen to the guys that's behind me some because it helps me help the guys that I know. And my whole thing is, again, I don't know how long I'll be in it. Shit, I might get fired tomorrow. But I really want to try to make an impact on the people behind me. That's why I started doing this, because I love ball and I love people. So anytime I get to get on and listen to guys like these guys here talking, like it impresses me so much to know that there are some guys behind me that really care about the game and really care about people. And so I love jumping into these Zooms with these young guys, man. And it makes my heart smile because you know that basketball going to be okay. And watching the social stuff that's going on right now, like I was a big mouth as a player. And again, I played in 95, was my last year playing, 96. And watching the young guys now who ask questions and wanting change and wanting things to happen in society, it makes me smile as an old man because they kind of remind me of me in my generation a little bit when we had Tupac and some of those guys when I was growing up. So I loved it. I enjoyed everything everybody was talking about. And thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge, OG. Appreciate you just joining us, man. Not a lot of guys in your position would join a bunch of young bucks trying to talk some hoops. So appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to do it. Let's take one or two more
I have
questions.
a question.
Yeah, please. Let's take one or two more.
I got a question as well.
All right. That question that I had is to those guys is when you're recruiting, what's more valuable to you when you're recruiting? Is it production? Is it a kid that can win? Is it the program history that kid comes from? Or is it relationship with the head coach of that kid, right? And I asked this for a personal reason because, again, like I had some really talented kids that a lot of guys just kind of overlooked, and they're gonna regret it big time, I guarantee it. But that's the reason that I asked. Again, production, winning, program history, or relationship with the head coach.
Let's have Tone, Josten, and Chambers answer that question.
I'm gonna answer this, and I'm gonna have to get out of here, man. So after this,
yep, please.
I think it kind of depends as far as a certain situation about what you needed for whatever you're recruiting, depending on kind of what your culture is and what's going on, and how you coach. I'm a big fan of getting guys as winners because that kind of automatically adapts over the culture, man. They just got good habits. Guys who are winners know how to be on time. They understand what's going on in the classroom. They can just put it all together as far as overall player, man. So when it comes to recruiting for me, man, I definitely think it comes to, I think more so it's about getting a good character kid. I'm big on skill development, so I feel like you can always tweak a guy's game and help him get better on the court. But as far as you got to have a certain head on your shoulders, be able to mature and go through life and be able to like learn and understand that player and what's going on. So just good character, high quality kids, and just guys who are very humble and just understanding as far as me when it comes to recruiting. When that comes to that situation, for me, personally. And like I said, man, I think it's based off how you want to coach and based off who you work for, and what that boss wants in that situation, man. So I end with that question, man. I want to just thank Brian. I want to thank you for having me on here. I want to thank you guys for all watching. Very appreciative of it, man. I just thank God for waking us all up this morning, being able to have some fellowship, man, and talk basketball in that situation, man. So I'll put my number in there, man. Don't hesitate, man. Anybody can text me. I'll save your number, man. We can chop it up from there, man. As far as basketball, any ideas, man, shooting it like that, man. But thank for everybody that's here, man. I'm just thankful for this opportunity. And I just hope everybody, man, have the rest of that good week, man. Just God bless y'all, man. Once again, man, Brian, man, I really appreciate it, man. This is pretty cool.
Appreciate you, man. ACU family, baby. Keep up the great work.
Man, you guys have a good night, man. Y'all be blessed.
You too.
All right, Tom.
Hey, B, I might be behind. It's 9 o'clock. It's time to change them diapers.
You on the East Coast. We already know, man.
Almost
we'll let you answer. Then we'll go Josten. Then we'll keep it going. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just to talk about what Coach, similar to what Coach Bostic said. It really just depends on where you're at in your program and which direction you want to go in. But I don't think it hurts getting kids that come from good programs first. I think that's something we valued more now. Before at St. Peter's, prior to where we were at, it was more or less get what you could get. Just get a good character kid that can play basketball, and then we'll figure everything else out. But as you go on and as different stages in your program that you might be in, that changes. So I think you can't go wrong with a kid that has a winning pedigree at first, man. I think that's a really a good way to go. If I were to build a program from scratch, that's probably the way I would go first. Winning program, obviously high character kid.
Yep. I jump in. Coach, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going down with you, Crow?
Man, we met a couple of different times in the past couple of years, man. So I've seen you climb and you grind, man. I'm glad to see you on here. But to kind of answer your question, I guess with all things being equal, I think these guys touched on it, pretty well. You absolutely, you have to know who you're working for, in our position. Obviously, we're not head coaches yet. But I think something that I really, look at is the toughness aspect. And we get so caught up in the chase sometimes that I think what I'm about to say next is really underrated, and that's getting guys that actually want to be there. You have to convince guys so much, hey, we've got X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C. But, man, if you get a guy that really, really wants to be there, and obviously, the talent level and the pedigree and all that really, is really important. But having a guy that wants to be where you're at is important, and you got a better shot of keeping him, for the 4-year stint or, 2-year stint if it's a JUCO guy, in the long run.
Hey, I appreciate y'all's insight, man. Because I got kids that win. You've been winning.
Hey, B, can I? I'm about to hop off real quick, man. But
closing remarks. Hopefully we get to see a little one before she leaves. We get to say hello or no? Okay, next time.
She's sitting in front of puppy pals right now, so I don't want any of that smoke. But for the short time, B, that I connected with you, man, I think with your knowledge and your willingness to serve, man, I gravitate to somebody like yourself, individual like myself who's working hard on his faith, and I just want to be around good people, and that's what I'm striving to do, and that's what I will do. I won't let this business eat me up as it's eating everybody else up. And like I said, I'll continue to help these young men. But I really appreciate you, asking me to be on and just connecting with you, man. And it just flows, man. So like I said, thank you very much, Crow, Dunson. Appreciate you guys. I'll try to connect with you guys as well. And OG Gray, I was on the panel with you, man. You had me rolling from the beginning to the end, brother. But I'd love to connect with you too, man. I definitely hit you up, man. But thank you guys, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Serge. You were awesome, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, brother.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Dante Bryan. I just finished up my third year out here at I spent 2 years at in JUCO and then came up to the NCAA ranks at CSU Pueblo out here in Colorado. I recently got released a couple days ago due to the COVID situation, and they just pretty much just cut my position. And just trying to give the kids there that I recruited that are going to the school, just trying to figure out some advice, because of course they're angry that they pretty much came to the school to play for me, that I've recruited them and different things like that. So I was just trying to look for some advice to let them know that, I mean, at the end of the day, everything is going to kind of be okay.
For me, I guess I'll start on it. That a lot of that comes with their relationship with the current head coach and your belief in the current head coach. And I've always felt that for me to work for a guy, I got to believe in what he does, and whatever I sell the guys on, it's got to be the truth. And if not, I won't recruit the guy if they're looking for something different, no matter how good they were, and I'm willing to lose a job over that. But if you are truthful in everything you've told them and getting them there, and I think you can continue to sell it and just let them know, like, this is the reason you came. Everything's still in place. I'm not there, but they're still going to take care of you. I'm here if you need anything, but I don't know if there's much more you can do than that. And then from there, it's up on the staff that's remaining to pick up the slack.
I'll jump in on it too. The first thing I would say is, number one, I appreciate you. I think your name was Dante. I'm on my phone, so I can't really see who's who. But the really cool thing about your question was, obviously you've had some adversity that you've dealt with and that you're going through, and your concern is not about you; it's about other people. And I think that's really admirable. And I think that's I can't applaud you enough. And if there's ever anything I can do to help you right now, because I can only imagine the things that you're going through, please don't hesitate to reach out. What I would tell you is because it's not just, this is not unique. Obviously that situation might be unique, but it's not unique to your school with the coronavirus and the COVID-19 deal. If this is the worst thing that they deal with in their life, they're going to have a pretty damn good life. And they made a commitment. Obviously, you wish you were there, or they wish you were there. But they made a commitment to the school, and things have changed, and they have to reevaluate the situation and figure out if that's still the place they want to go. But there's no sugarcoating it. There's no easy way to get around it. At the end of the day, it's a shitty situation for a lot of people. And like Dunson said, there's not really much you can give them other than that the school supports them, the coaching staff supports them. And obviously, as I alluded to, you've stepped outside of yourself and your adversity, and you support them. So no, it's big time. And God bless you, man, because I can only imagine. And it's depending on how long this thing goes, I think there's only going to be more people in that situation. So if there's ever anything I can do to help you out, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Appreciate it.
Jonathan, I think you had a question, the last question. anyway.
For sure. Just to mention Brandon's brother Josh, he does Photoshop. I've met him. He's awesome at it. Just wanted to throw that out there. Photoshop's a great way to get in. That's how I got into my position. But what's one, if you were to hire a staff as an aspiring head coach for some of you guys, what do you look for in hiring your staff members? What's kind of key things you'd like to key in on?
I'll jump in. I probably don't have a complete answer for you. It's going to have a lot of different factors in that deal, but definitely people that want to help others. I think that's underrated. We can go about, offensively, defensively, being from a particular area, being having a set of functions for a guy. I think that's a little overrated, but just being a person that wants to help and a guy that's unselfish. When you get in the staff, man, there are a lot of dynamics and politics within it. And if you get with guys that are really, really unselfish and want to help others, man, it flows so much smoother. So, I probably didn't give you the answer that's a buzz answer, but man, that's just the truth, man. And you need good assistance, and trying to be one right now is part of the puzzle for who I'm working for. So I got to run off of here too, B. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, I met you a few different times and you've been the same person every single time. Man, we can sit and talk, whether we're on the road or whatever it is. Man, we sit and talk 2-3 hours. Man, we can't even watch games and get any work done. So, man, I appreciate you so much. You've always been, a person willing to help others. That is a huge quality. And I guess that kind of speaks, to what Jonathan was asking. But, man, you're always a person that I can lean on, and I appreciate you for including me in this deal so much, man. You're my brother, and will help you, do anything I can on my end, and you know that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You're a star. Keep shining, man. Keep shining, keep impacting.
Thank you. Man, I'm just salute to everybody, Brandon, Dante, Chambers. I didn't get a chance to rap with you, man. You seem like you're my kind of guy, but everybody out there, man, my information's on here. Please shoot me a text, man. I look forward to seeing some of y'all on the road. Coach Jackson, all you guys. Thank you again, Brian. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay. God bless.
Coach Gray, you got a question for the fellas? I think we're getting close to wrapping up. So
I'm sorry, fellas. I don't have no life, so sometimes I get on these things. I stay on all night. So I just wanted to go back to what Dante asked earlier. I've been in a situation twice now, and that I've been on staff that got let go. We got let go for non-performance, not necessarily because of COVID per se. But one thing I always tell the guys, because again, people that know me in the Carolinas, I'm supposed to be a recruiter. That's supposed to be what I do. So I sign most of the guys everywhere I've been. And one of the pieces of advice I always give the kids when I left for school, even when if it was for me being a staff getting fired or for myself getting a better job per se, is I always tell those guys, man, if it's the right fit for that kid, and if the head coach is the right fit for that kid, I never messed with them. If it fits for that kid, let them be happy. And I had some kids when I left Wilmington, per se, for example, that wound up playing in the tournament 2 years after that. So it wound up being the best for those kids. I had kids when I left Charlotte, or we got let go at Charlotte, who one of them didn't listen to me. The coach that replaced me was actually a better system for that kid, but he got caught up in trying to move to the highest level and probably screwed up his career. So my advice would be if it's the right thing for those kids, leave them there. If it's somebody that you don't trust them with, then look on moving them. And that'd be my advice on that, just to go back to that question. And that's the thing, again, like in this business, we don't help you guys enough navigate this stuff, because most of us old heads, if you coach long enough, you're going to get let go. And that's just the reality. For whatever reason, you could be the greatest basketball coach ever. It's one of my old mentors told me when I first got in, at that time, it's like 3 guys in the history of basketball who got to walk away on their own terms. Fucking Bobby Knight got fired. And Bobby Knight invented the freaking motion offense, and they fired his ass eventually. I'm sorry for cursing on you soon, Brian. But just know that at some point in your career, you're going to get let go. So don't take that kind of stuff personal. Don't make decisions based on your personal feelings and that the school you may feel like the school screwed you, but if it's in the best interest of that kid to stay at that school and try to have a good career. It's the best fit for that kid. Do what's best by that kid. But because trust me, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. 5 years from now, you're going to land on your feet. If you're on a Zoom at 9 o'clock at night during coronavirus, you got some passion for this game. You got some passion for this business. So you're going to be okay. Like, you might not feel it right now. You're going to get a job again. And you never know. That kid that you're going to put in a good situation right now going to call you 5 years from now like, Coach, my little nephew is at XYZ high school. You need to come look at him. And that's where that stuff comes full circle when you're in this business for the right reasons. And so don't take it personal. And I pray for you, man, because like we all been there. And I know it sucks right now. And it's easy for me to say because I got a good salary right now. But just stick with the fight. Do what's best by those kids right now because it's going to come back. And hopefully that's why you got in the business for the kids, for the game. It's going to come back. Just be patient with it and do what's right by those kids. And I'm sorry, B. I know it's your.
No, good words. Good words.
Panelist, but
good word. Good word. You got to get an OG with it.
Definitely appreciate it for sure.
Well, if anybody else doesn't have any other questions, we'll let these guys run. We've been on here for quite some time. We've had a really impactful, powerful evening of conversation, content. Appreciate you, Brandon, Dunston, and Chambers for taking the time. And I know, Brandon, you were driving back and sacrificing and outworking some people to get on the Zoom. That's why you are who you are. We appreciate that. I'll let both of you guys have any closing thoughts, and then we'll keep it moving.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you again. Like we've known each other for quite some time now. We work with some of the know a lot of the same guys from a working relationship standpoint, and I really valued our relationship. So thank you for continuing to be a guy that just pours into others. It's obviously how you've made your way and out of great intention. So thank you for that, and thanks for being a role model for doing that for those of us and reinforcing thoughts for those of us who are in it for the same reasons. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you for saying that, Brandon. I've always had I think the first time I met you was at the think tank. That the guy at Stanford that he didn't know his own title probably, but was just a great dude, man. And we definitely have some similar ties and similar people. And I appreciate the way you go about your business, man. You never try to do anything to put any light on you. You're as below the radar as it gets, but man, are you really good at what you do and everything that you do and how you do it. And I just appreciate how you're going about your business and how you're navigating and how you're being an example, whether young or old. I think you have a great poise and disposition and just a focus, but a humility. You talked about the humility. And you wear it, man. You wear it at a high level, and you let your work speak for yourself. To be hired at Nevada as an assistant at that time when they were a top 10 team in the country, top 10 program, says a lot about not only how good you are, but what other people think about you. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that were not only trying to get that job, but that were probably trying to stop you from getting that job. So credit to you, man. Keep up the great work. I know you were one of the best in Diedrich, and you're going to continue to do great things, man.
I appreciate that.
Chambers, you got any words? I know you jumped in late. Take as much time as you want, man.
A couple things. 3 things, actually. The first thing is, man, it's bad when your brother, now you're known because of your brother. That's when your brother, his reputation precedes you, then that's when you know you've really hit rock bottom. It's crazy because that's actually not the first time I've been referred to as Josh Chambers' brother. So it's funny.
Did somebody say that on here?
He did. Well, the guy that
I
said,
did.
the graphic design.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
He's legit. He's legit.
He's big time. Tell you the truth, he's actually he must have fallen and hit his head because he's a beast with Photoshop and Adobe Premiere, and he could be making a lot more money working for Nike. And for those of you guys who don't know my brother, he works for Buzz at Texas A&M, and he does all the social media stuff. So, and if any of you guys want to learn, just hit me and I'll make sure you guys connect because like I said earlier, I mean, you got to stand on the shoulders of giants, and he's got to give back as well. I would say 2 things. Number one, Shaka Smart, he taught me this quote. It was, appreciation is the currency of success. And like Dunson and the coaches before, obviously, appreciate you, man. This is big time. This is a big time platform, impacting people and just having the opportunity to come on here and just chop it up, really. I apologize for being late, but shoot, I mean, whenever I can come back and even just be attendee, please keep me posted on that. And then the second and last thing I'd say is another one of my favorite quotes is a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And so obviously we're in this time period. It's, you know, I mean, the stay at home, and then we're on the heels of, you know, the George Floyd, and there's all this social injustice. Well, there's a way to look at it and shift your mindset and your paradigm of this time period and get better. And maybe it's personally, maybe it's professionally. I can't really, you know, tell you about that, but shoot, I know for me, I'm trying to read more books. I'm trying to attend more clinics. I'm trying to connect with more people. Shoot, I connected with Brian during this, you know, time period. So I would just say, man, just all of us in here, just try to get better, find something that we can improve on, or something, you know. I think as coaches, we get caught up so much in the season, and our job is so cyclical. We get done with the season, then it's recruiting. We get done with recruiting, then it's the guys come back to campus. Then we have workouts, and it's back into this vicious circle. And we always say, man, if I had more time, I would do this. If I had more time, I'd spend time with my, you know, my girlfriend or my wife or my kids, or I would learn, you know, I'd read more books, or I'd learn a new, you know, skill. And I would just say, man, try to find some opportunity in this time period. Who knows how long it's going to go on for? I know the NCAA just came out with some stuff today, but you know, it just we have this time period, and there's a way to come out on the other side better than you know, how we went into it.
No, great close, man. Great close. Always come with some quotes. You may have to put some of those quotes in the chat, man, so people may want to keep those.
I actually have whoever wants to just hit me. I have a file that I've collected. It's just my quotes file. So if you want it, I'll send it to you. It's just some of my favorite quotes over the years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks again from Rising Coaches, All Access Coaches Corner. This was a big time event. Appreciate these guys taking the time and staying on for B. Dunson being the people's champ, staying on for the full duration. And then Brandon, you sacrificing, you know, being in the car and kind of having some unconventional circumstances that made you kind of have to not be as fully engaged the full time as you wanted to be. But high quality, man. Appreciate you guys again. Thanks to all that joined in, and look forward to staying in touch and following these guys' career.
Thanks, B.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, B.
Thanks, Coach B.
You're welcome, man.